What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the Promethean Tides. I'm General, and as always, I'm joined by Breaker. What is going on, Breaker?
Hello, I'm Yahoo. You're never going to have a wall in America like we got over here in Israel.
Okay, yeah. I guess we'll be going over two interesting stories that have occurred. The first one will be that Kanye made an appearance on the Alex Jones show. Of course, our last episode we went over Kanye's appearance on the Timcast IRL. So he made another appearance on Alex Jones's show. Uh, I I almost sort of feel like we're getting the privilege to listen and like watch a man slowly like descend into some form of like insanity, and like we can see it in real time. So really interesting case study, and something that just benefits us all, because we all get to learn something about the nature of the human psyche. Um, and the second and probably honestly larger story, although maybe it's not as filled with celebrity and drama, is the information that Elon Musk and Matt Taibbi have released on Twitter, and some of the goings on that has occurred at the highest levels of Twitter, and the censoring of just people from saying things that they don't like. So we'll get into those things. So hell yeah. Welcome to the cathedral. So
Oh, yeah. Everything must bear my sacred holy signet ring sign. And if it does not, that means it is truly and utterly evil down to its core and must be rejected by you and everyone else around you. He who does not reject the evil of the conservative must be banished to the outermost ribs of society.
that's true. Look, they're saying naughty things, and this is something I've always said. It's a core position of mine. Uh, Look, you as someone who absorbs media, who isn't one of these like CEOs or whatever. You don't know what's best for you. You don't know who you should be watching or who you shouldn't be watching. How would you know? You're a dumb pleb. It is the role of your betters, the people that are in the higher echelons of society. You're the peasant, they're the lords. They know better. It is their role, it is their job to take care of you and give you the information that is appropriate to you and hide the information that is not appropriate to you. In the same way, that like if you're a parent, it's your job to keep your kids from getting into smuts or like watching things that are inappropriate for their age, right? It's the same thing. Think of these tech oligarchs as basically like parents, but for like everyone, all of you, bottom 99% dumbass plebs. It's their job to take care of you. So stop fighting it, okay? They know better. You don't. All right? So just the sooner that you accept that, the sooner that we can just move along. That's part of maturity, okay? Part of maturity is understanding that there are people that are better than you that can run your life better than you can, okay? That's called maturity. The ability to understand that, people, okay? So, anyway, uh,
Exactly. Like, if we didn't do it for you, like you would probably bumble around and like you might, I don't know, an evil World War II mustache man acolyte. We certainly can't allow that because he bad.
exactly. So I don't think that we want to watch the entire uh, uh, like interview that Alex Jones did with Kanye. It's 2 hours long, and knowing how it is that Breaker and I like to do commentary on videos, it would probably take us about 6 hours to get through that thing. So
It
we're
took
just
Sitch and Adam like 8.5 hours. So
yeah. I mean, it took us what like an hour and a half to go through the 24 minutes that that was Kanye's appearance on Timcast IRL. So there is no way that we're going to be going through that. But Alex Jones, he did post some clips from it, so I thought that maybe we could just go through some of the clips. I haven't watched it. Breaker watched the whole thing. I haven't gotten a chance to watch it yet. But apparently these clips, they're pretty decent, I guess, representation of some stuff that happens, and I think that they avoid the whole thing that I don't think that YouTube would be super happy about in regards to the Holocaust. So I mean,
I think you mean the great barbecue of the curly hats.
I okay. I somehow that sounds more offensive, but maybe the YouTube algorithm won't notice. But okay, yeah, let's just go through some of these clips. So I think that hopefully these are posted in more or less chronological order. We're on the band.video on BitChute for Alex. That's Basically his Alex Jones's page. I do want to point out, by the way, BitChute, it seems like a cool place. You can post whatever the fuck you want on there. There's not like it's not nearly as nanified as YouTube is, but the search algorithm for BitChute sucks. Like, BitChute, I don't know like how it is that you can improve this. I understand that that maybe there's some like like legitimate like technical issues in implementing a decent search algorithm, but Jesus Christ, trying to find anything on your site is a slog. I just want to point that out, BitChute. I would use you a lot more if it wasn't just such a like pulling teeth every time I wanted to find anything. But okay, let's look at this first clip.
Yeah, and I have a BitChute. I have a BitChute account, and it doesn't matter if you have an account or viewing it anonymously. There's no like algorithm that curates you. But anyway, let's go.
All right, so this first clip, it's only 2 minutes long, so hopefully we can get through this 2-minute clip in less than half an hour, Breaker. But but yes, this is titled "Yay, People Are Afraid of the Truth." Let's hear what he has to say.
Few good ideas. I have ideas that surpass the idea of just being a black face for the Trump administration, just being Elon's cool friend at a concert. I actually have real ideas, Tim Cook. I actually have real ideas. And I get marginalized into these places. And I understand people are afraid of the truth. The best EQ on the planet. When I went to people like David Simon and Jamie Salter and all these Jewish businessmen, they would offer me things like, hey, we'll give you one store. And I got frustrated. I got frustrated with the Gap, with Adidas, of being held back. And people act like they're going to help you, but they really control you like how Jamie Salter controls Shaquille O'Neal or the NBA controls Shaquille O'Neal. And this is nothing, no knock to our brother. All black people feel the way I feel, but nobody wants to go broke. No one else can take a $2 billion hit and still have $400 million, you know? So that's God putting me in a position to be able to fight battles that other people can't fight. But the people, the real people, they're standing up, they're talking. The problem.
How can anybody disagree with this? It's awesome.
Okay. I mean, so far that seems pretty reasonable. I don't have anything really to push against that.
Yeah, this is one of his more reasonable takes. It's like you could view this as like he's criticizing like the meat grinder style of the entertainment and fashion and professional sports industry, just wanting to atomize and put everything into this commodified product box with a neat little label on it. Says, oh, here is your basketball star, here is your music star, here is your fashion star, and everything must be atomized and broken down and packaged and commodified and have these neat little labels and these neat little price tags on it so that you, the dumb bovine supplicant consumer, can know which box to pick up to satiate which one of your Bayesian desires, because like we were talking about before, they have to think for you because you're too ignorant to do it yourself.
Well, and what I think is really great is when like these celebrities, they come down from on high. right? It's not like they had like grassroots support and they like came up naturally. It's like they were manufactured in some sort of corporate like R&D laboratory, and they then through enough funding they are put out onto the public, and with like enough algorithms they can figure out like exactly what the public likes, and so then they can just be pushed onto the public, and everyone will just instantly like them, especially because they're going to be shoved in everyone's faces, and so you're going to be forced to like them. That's the best type of this type of celebrity. It's the best kind. I love it.
Yeah, it's the celebrity that they can control and more easily put into the box. But someone like Kanye, for all the criticisms and faults of his that you could point out and levy against him, like he's a very difficult to box in. Like he's this creative, artistic, fashionable, like business-oriented, entrepreneurial fucking polymath that's doing all of these things in all these different directions. Now, that's not necessarily 100% all good. But at the very least, it's more true to what he really is, and like he's expressing himself in being more true to himself. And as he would articulate it, you might argue poorly in some cases that he's serving a higher calling when he's being himself and doing it like this, instead of like, you're going to be in the fashion box at Balenciaga and you're going to do this thing and you're going to get paid X amount of dollars, and your image is going to be selectively curated and packaged and commodified by us like elite agents, and we're going to tell you where you can go and what you could say and how you can say it and when you could say it. Like Kanye, if nothing else, is just sick of that aspect of the commodification and the whole corporate aesthetic that he's been cooking in for the past couple decades.
Yeah. I think that living in that structure for too long, I think it has actually driven him a little bit crazy, because it's such a non-human kind of like landscape to exist in, that I think that eventually anyone would crack and just go, what the fuck is this? Like it's almost like being a celebrity at this high of a level, it's almost like being on the Truman Show, but at least you're kind of aware of it. But like you're just it actually, it doesn't seem like that fun of an existence. But then again, I will say this: the best music that has ever been produced in all of human history, better than, let's say, the Beatles, better than Mozart, better than anything, it's got to be NSYNC or the Backstreet Boys. These manufactured, like what they do, it's brilliant actually. It's the combination of corporate art and also science, right? Like they can use algorithms to actually create little jingles. And I assume that these algorithms were originally used to like develop like commercial jingles, like Nationwide is on your side, like that kind of shit. But they've adapted
Not sponsored.
Yeah, not sponsored. But they've adapted that to create like bops, you know. And you know, some of these bops, they're an earworm, right? They really like get into your head, and you want to listen to them and listen to them, and they can just completely I guess they can science and math the shit out of music, break it down, and make a song that will be popular with no actual human creativity or ingenuity going into it at any point. That is the pinnacle of human music, and we all agree. So,
well, this is what George Orwell talked about in 1984 with the machine that made like party music, because he was like one of the people in the inner party. He was like one of the people at the higher levels that knew that the memory hole was a real thing. He was one of the people that was the protagonist in 1984 was one of the people that was like crafting the whole narrative. Like he had heard like all the party songs that were memory hold and remembered them. It's like, and he knew where all the party songs came from, which is like what you're saying. It came from like this machine that just made catchy music, and it was completely bereft of any human like creativity or artistry or anything like that. No soul of the human was in it. But then when he was interacting with the proletariats, he realized that this woman, like hanging up her laundry, was singing one of these party songs. And he said to himself, I've never heard that song made by a machine sound so beautiful than when this poor proletariat woman hanging up her laundry was singing it with such gusto.
Remember to support the party. All right, let's keep going.
InfoWars.
December 2022 is here.
December
Proud.
2022.
Very excited. We've signed a new deal
The
with
whole thing.
about it. Our
The
list
whole thing.
at InfoWars, InfoWarsStore.com.
Okay. Well, the whole thing was a commercial. Great. Okay, fine.
But leave it to Alex Jones to make half the video a fucking commercial.
I wasn't expecting that. I see a 2-minute clip, and a full minute of it is a commercial. Wow.
Yeah, it's just an Alex Jones thing that he fucking does.
Okay.
There is another clip that's 6 minutes, I believe, and there's more meat to that one, I think.
Yeah. There's a few videos. So, all right. Well, this one is 3 minutes, so I assume that we'll have another 1-minute commercial in there. We'll just skip that if we see it. But
And we'll talk about it for 15 minutes. So all these clips are going to give us all the content for the Kanye stuff. So.
oh yeah.
They're against free open discussion, which shows they're evil. And anyone going along with censoring somebody's speech is a fraud and an enemy of the people.
But the people are not evil. It's Satan that controls the people and puts demonic blocks. So when you see the truth in front of you, you can't even hold the truth. Like it's demonic blocks. I can go to Kim and say, hey, put your family first. You have someone who loves you. Put us first. Put your children first. And it's demonic blocks bringing her into traumatic everything. She was pushing to the sex tape. She's pushing to saying that she had sex with Pete Davidson in front of a fireplace. Hulu does not love you, Kim. Disney does not love you, Kim. Come home, Kim. Come home to Christ. Go to God. Go to Jesus, because you saying you might not ever or marry somebody. Great. Go marry Tom Brady, whatever you want to do. But get married and use your platform as an influence to keep families together. Don't let the devil use you. And those people that are out there.
Okay. I mean, I think that I also agree with this. The corporations, they don't love you. The handlers, they don't love you. Just fucking get married, have kids, have a normal life. That's like I can't disagree.
Yeah, the corporate fucking machine is like fundamentally inhuman, just like the 1984 example, where it literally just comes with this mechanistic contrivance, and that mechanistic contrivance can be much like a construction of the human mind itself with no computer necessary, as much as it can be like a massively convoluted computer algorithm like we have nowadays, which is arguably even worse. But like a corporate boardroom with no computers involved can do a very similar process of like a reverse engineering of Salvador Dali's The Lovely Skeletons, and just make this totally safe anodyne consumer packaged product that they buy and sell and trade with each other all the frickin' time. That they just commodify the human spirit and squeeze everything that is truly human out of a person and just dry them up like a freeze-dried fucking corpse inside of this packaged box. Just add a drop of water. Just add it's like corpse in this box. Solve for you.
Yeah. The interesting thing about corporations is that, and I think this happens at basically all levels. The more people that you have in an organization, the less human it becomes. It's one of those like counterintuitive sort of things, but the more humans you have in the system, the less the less human it is. When everything is decided by boards and committees, and everything needs to go through like a chain of command in order to get approval to do this thing and that thing and release this, and it has to be agreed upon by this number of execs and all that kind of stuff. It becomes less and less human and more like basically a corporation or a government is essentially one gigantic sociopath. And also take into account the fact that at the highest levels of society, in these like corporate and governmental structures, that they actually tend to attract legitimate sociopaths, then yeah, the whole thing just becomes very inhuman very rapidly. And for those who have been listening to the show for a while, we're talking about like complex algorithms that are like developed by these corporations. And actually, that's the origin of Breaker. Actually, I rescued him from a corporate R&D facility, and I brought him. Yeah, brought him onto the show as my AI companion. So that's some of the lore. I think last episode we went into the fact.
Yeah, that's why my signal is so fucked up.
Yeah, it's DDoS attacks that are coming in sometimes, but he deals with that. So I do want to point out though with this video, it's funny to me to watch Kanye in effectively a gimp mask talk about the importance of Christ and like just coming back to your family. There's a certain humor to that.
He's the ultimate
mad
jester.
at
Back
the
to the
ability
video.
for us to say things. For consciousness, I have to think, okay, white lives matter. I'm going to do a t-shirt. I'm going to make it. You understand? Woke culture is controlled by the Zionist media, making people mad, outraged, going out the street. We're so outraged, but you're not doing anything yourself to change it and follow God and follow Christ. We haven't said anything against the word of God today. God says love everyone. So if I say I love the Zionists that cancel my account, then I can say I do love Hitler. I do love the Zionists. I love everyone. The Zionists cannot tell me who I can love and not love. I don't think like that. I think more like someone that's on the spectrum. Since that's what they want to claim, well, let me be on the spectrum of love.
Oh man, what a point that Kanye just made. What a point. That was a point.
Yeah, I mean, and if you think about it in the broader context, this just sounds like we were talking about, I think, before the show started. It sounds like he's just coming into this whole religious angle with a lot of fresh, like, not very well articulated, not very well sculpted perspectives. And he's trying to, like, learn how to split the wheat from the chaff in this new theological lens that he's adopted thus far. And he's not quite all the way there yet. So when he's talking about the example of Christ, you love your neighbor as yourself, up to and including the Zionists and Hitler both, as he described it. Now, he's technically not being wrong in like a strict theological Christian sense. That's not entirely an incorrect perspective. He just has a bit of trouble articulating the finer theological ins and outs of that overall perspective.
I mean, maybe, right? Like, okay, so I guess within Christian theology, it teaches you to love everyone, and I suppose that would include Hitler. So, I mean, yeah, I guess, but aren't there people, like, okay, unless Kanye has achieved, like, Buddhist level enlightenment, I don't think it's really possible for a human to just love everyone, right? There's a few issues, right? Number one, I don't think that Kanye really knows Hitler. I don't think they've ever met. I don't think that they've gotten to know one another. So I doubt that Kanye actually knows, the guy Hitler, his deepest insecurities, his deepest wishes and wants. I mean, actually, I guess we may know some of his wishes and wants, but I mean, why would you start at loving Hitler? Like, couldn't you just start with, like, trying to love your neighbor first and then work your way up? Like, why do we have to go immediately to Hitler? I mean, if I was a Christian,
well,
I would find it very difficult to just suddenly love Mao Zedong, right? Like, I don't know if I would say, dude, I love Mao Zedong. I love him.
Yeah, it's a very inarticulate. Now, Kanye himself, I've watched this whole thing, keep in mind, at various points throughout this, he does admit to his own faults and inarticulation, and he's not like the sharpest tool in the shed. Kanye himself admits this of himself. No, I'm not being racist, fucking AI mob. That's not a racist statement or an anti-black statement. That's Kanye's own admission of his own faults that I'm talking about. And it really shows in things like this, because the points you bring up, General Chief, that's the more nuanced way of thinking about it. a Christian theological perspective. Like, his perspective on it is like very fresh and arguably juvenile, and he's just casting this extremely wide net of like agape Christian love and Christ-like love everywhere and catching all the people, which in an esoteric and mystical sense that's kind of the ultimate purpose. But you kind of have to go through that crucible of discernment and figuring out who is really worth that, and what actions are worth veneration and admiration, and which actions ought to be condemned and casted off as sinful. Now, even from the most strictest like Christian perspective, a Christian could argue that Hitler in many ways was extremely sinful and hedonistic and did things in excess. Like, well, I don't even have to get into the specifics. I mean, just read a fucking World War II history book and you could kind of pick up what I'm laying down. So, but that comes with like more wisdom and experience. So Kanye, he's going to sound like this bright-eyed and bushy-tailed naive child when he's first coming into it. It's not until you earn that level of discernment and wisdom about the theology that you can then start to more carefully parse out like what ought to be judged and condemned. Like when it says judge not lest ye be judged, it's not saying don't judge, period. It's saying be careful what you judge and how you judge it, because that will come back around to you when the ultimate judgment day comes. It's not saying don't judge at all. It's saying be discerning and careful and wise in your judgments.
Well, you know what? Here's the thing. Maybe, what if, there's also that saying that to stupid people, geniuses sound insane, right? So what if Ye is making such like a high level point here that it's actually going over both of our heads, and like we're actually just too small brained to understand the merits of loving Hitler.
Well, the problem with that is, like, if this was just a thing in isolation that happened, maybe he made some type of spiritual breakthrough and he's achieved, like, the Christian beatific vision, the Christian version of nirvana. I don't know. That would be something that's eternally between him and God. But I don't think that's the thing. I think if we apply Occam's razor, we could narrow it down a bit to be, like, the type of influences he has around him, especially Nicholas James Fuentes, might have a bit more to do with that.
Oh, you know what? Actually, on the last video that we did, I said that I would take some time and I would watch a video by Nick Fuentes, and I did that. It was like a 3-hour-long video, and we're not going to go through it because there's enough littering of spicy takes that for this going up on YouTube, it would be like navigating a minefield. But he makes some good points, but then also some like some standard like Christian conservative points, like, hey, like, I mean, honestly, some things I would agree with, and also like some shit that Kanye just said, like, hey, you know what, like you should get married, like have babies, like that, like, yeah, like live a traditional life, like, okay, yeah, I can get behind that. But then he also has some takes that I think are maybe not the best takes, things that I would personally argue against. So yeah, just saying, I walked away from watching Nick Fuentes with basically the same perspective that I had when I watched the last Nick Fuentes thing, like back in like 2017 or 2018. So I don't have anything new to report there. I just thought I'd give an update on what occurred. So
yeah.
Okay, so there was another video.
Let's get back into the videos, I guess.
Okay, so here's a 7-minute clip. Alex Jones and Ye prove that the people want free speech. You know what? I think they do. I think that's right. Let's get into it.
No one's scared anymore. You guys have beat me to a pulp, but I'm still alive. And now I'm not afraid. You can't threaten me. You could call me crazy. You could take the money. You could take all the supermodels. And don't take the supermodels.
Don't take the supermodels.
Don't take the supermodels.
Hey, sometimes a waitress is better than a supermodel. Free shipping is back
Oh, boy.
at
Yeah, we got free
InfoWarsStore.com.
shipping here, guys.
Fucking
Don't worry.
Alex.
We got free shipping.
I think that's back to it.
Hold on.
Because of us showing we're here, we have our own platform, and the internet, number one story, hands down, in the world right now is this broadcast because people want free speech. Great point. 60-second closing comment, Owen. Then Nick Fuentes, then Ali Alexander, then Yee.
Well, I would say I don't think the story here with Ye should be about anti-Semitism or Nazis or any of that. To me, the human interest story is
though. They're fine.
But Ye, think about what you can do with your platform right now, because they want to make that the issue. Most people say,
the
I grew
300
up, the whole
Zionists?
world. I'm talking about everybody watching this right now.
That's fine.
We want.
They keep
we
trying to
want
pull him out,
Ye
and he
to
keeps jumping back in.
Yeah, for some reason, Ye, he likes to comment on everything. Even when it's not necessary, he has to be in every single conversation. Like I don't know. I didn't watch the entire. I didn't watch the Alex Jones interview. Maybe I should have, but I didn't. I watched the Tim Pool one. He, as far as I can tell, he has to be at the center of every single conversation all of the time.
Yeah, I've watched the whole Alex Jones things. There's numerous occasions where Alex Jones and this guy, like a lot of different people try to like put everyone except Nick Fuentes, which tells you a lot. But a lot of people in this panel right here have tried numerous times during this two-plus hour interview to pull him back from things, but he just keeps diving headlong back into it, no matter how hard they try. Alex Jones just starts kind of rubbing his temples like, God damn it, fucking fuck the optics, motherfucker, the optics. God damn it, just look at the optics.
When Alex Jones is concerned about the optics, you know that maybe you're going a little bit too far.
Exactly. Well, back into it.
Expose the corruption, the secrets, the societies like you've been doing. We want Ye to pull the curtain back on Hollywood, pull the curtain back on Balenciaga, pull the curtain back on all of this stuff.
None of it's sacrosanct. Everybody should be able to criticize.
I'll cover the rest of my comments later today on the War Room. I got a lot. I want to make sure Ali gets a final comment here before Ye leaves.
Here's one more question the crew had. What about your personal trainer saying, we'll put you in who turned out he was in secret government operations and mind control in Canada, admitted it. Him saying, I'll put you in a mental institution for life if you don't shut up. I mean, I get why you're pissed. You're not going to be dominated.
Exactly. You know, I've expressed myself.
I want to. So this is from Harley. It says, I'm gonna help you one of a couple ways. First, this has been reported a couple times, but I'll just read it for anyone who hasn't heard it. So this is from, I guess, like a personal trainer of Kanye, and I guess he was involved in like the Canadian version of MK Ultra. That's what I've heard. And this is from the personal trainer to Kanye. It says, I'm gonna help you one of a couple ways. First, you and I sit down and have and loving and open conversation, but you don't use cuss words, and everything that is discussed is based in fact and not some crazy stuff that dumb friend of yours told you or you saw in a tweet. Second option, I have you institutionalized again where they medicate the crap out of you and you go back to zombie land forever. Playdate with the kids just won't be the same. Okay. So
yeah, that's some pretty spicy language.
Right? Now, I don't understand how it is that you can possibly sit down and have a loving and open conversation with someone who is threatening to institutionalize you and make it so that, like, basically you're a medicated zombie and you don't get to see your kids again. How can you have an open and loving conversation with someone threatening you in that way? Like, that is, what sort of fucking sociopathy is that? Jesus Christ. Like, I kind of understand why it is that Kanye is so pissed at the system just reading shit like this, because I'm sure that this isn't the only time that this has happened.
Yeah, this is like the whole culture of the handlers, as Kanye put it before. This goes really deep into like how these like corporate suit type people really view the world. They view you as a product to be shunted around and moved into a box. And if you're not going to voluntarily crawl into the box and be freeze dried, they're going to force you into it, sometimes violently. Like this message very much illustrates, like this is a really high caliber threat. Like, I'm going to destroy your entire life and put you in a fucking nut house, motherfucker, if you don't do what I say. You even do as I command, I will destroy you.
Yeah, just really fucked up. I can't imagine, like, number one, I can't imagine receiving a text like this. I think that my gut response would be just text back, go fuck yourself. Because I mean, like, honestly, what the fuck is this guy gonna do? What are they, like, how? I don't think that this guy can actually, like, and obviously he didn't, but I don't think that this guy can actually make good on this threat. Like, you can't forcibly institutionalize someone and force them on medication if like you're not violent. And Kanye is not violent. Like, he's never it's not like there's like a court order to have him fucking institutionalized. So what the fuck is this guy gonna do? What the fuck is this guy gonna do? I would text back, go fuck yourself, bro. You're out of my life forever. Go fuck yourself. But
yeah, if I wanted to play like the maximum devil's advocate for this guy, this trainer guy that sent this text, as I possibly can. Now, there's a couple of good points this guy does bring up, like don't believe everything like your crazy friend tells you. He's talking about Nick Fuentes probably, and don't believe things that you read in a crazy tweet. He's talking about like the general like dissident right wing voices that Kanye has probably been embroiled in ever since he got in with Nick Fuentes and Milo Yiannopoulos. Like that's not the type of criticism that you could easily brush away. That is something that deserves to be taken to heart. But then he kind of like spoils the whole pot by threatening him in such like a straightforward and garish manner, like he does in the rest of the text. That, yeah, you're right. Your response is you want to say fuck you to this person, even though they are saying some things that you need to hear. And this kind of like double reinforces the fact that the person saying this isn't saying it because they're actually concerned about you and because they're actually trying to warn and caution you like a friend would. This is like, this whole thing is constructed like a threat, like a ham-fisted, heavy-handed threat. Like, you will do what I want or I will destroy you.
Yeah, I like this screams to me of actually just the general tactic that the left uses. They go, you have bad opinion, and maybe that's a legitimate thing. Like, hey, this is a shit opinion. But they go, you have bad opinion, so I'm gonna threaten you. And sometimes they can make good on the threat, sometimes they can make bad on the threat, but it's always a threat. Either it's veiled or completely unveiled. They like to go into the threat, like, hey, if you have this bad opinion, there are some people that listen to you. You have some followers. I don't think that they would like it if they knew what your opinions were. What if this was to be released to them? Think about what that would do to your image, publicly. Like,
well, that would actually be a better way of saying it than what this guy does. This guy just goes straight for the throat. It's like, I will destroy you personally.
Yeah, and it's obviously it's very ineffective because Ye was not institutionalized, so it's a.
And he's probably not intimidated by this person either, obviously.
No, probably not. I mean, I'm sure that Ye just leaked this because he was like, this is preposterous. But like this.
Not only am I going to say fuck you, I'm going to show everyone what type of person you really are.
Yeah. Actually, Kanye did the double fuck you, but like this screams to me of just general lefty tactics, where it goes, hey man, like I'm here to sit down and just love and have a loving conversation, unless you choose not to, in which I'll end your fucking life. But hey, man, I'm just here to like love. Like, this is a safe space, man. Unless you violate the safe space, in which case I will destroy you. But this is a safe space, man. Like, it's such a lefty tactic. And if anything, it just like I could see what happened to Kanye here. He was like, okay, this guy's threatening me because I'm talking to Nick Fuentes and Milo. I mean, I don't know if that is actually the person that was referenced by dumb friend, but. Like, I could definitely see Kanye going, okay, fuck this bullshit. I'm being threatened. This is actually going to even further secure my allegiance with Milo and Nick Fuentes because fuck you, buddy. Fuck you. Don't threaten me. Like, it has the opposite effect.
Yeah, he's pushing him away. It's too much stick and not enough carrot. It's having the opposite effect, yeah.
Yeah, so, this... the guy that sent this text he's the dumb friend.
There's barely any carrot. It's like a little teeny tiny baby carrot. Like the two legitimate criticisms, like don't believe everything you hear and don't believe that person you just met from the freaking internet. Like that's a little teeny tiny carrot at the end of this massive fucking cudulous threat.
Yeah, so I'll say this. People are motivated in different ways because we're all beautiful and unique snowflakes. So, for instance, right? I know that I am much more carrot motivated. If you hit me with a stick, I'll just get pissed off. I don't like sticks. I like carrots. Carrots are great because I like things that benefit me. If you hit me with a stick, I'll just hate you, and then I'll do the opposite of whatever the fuck you say. And even like generally speaking, even if you try to hit me harder with a stick, I'll just say fuck you even harder because fuck you, stop hitting me with a stick. It's not your right to hit me with a stick. I'll take your carrot. I will not accept your fucking stick. But at the same time, there are people that are better motivated by the stick. For instance, like my girlfriend. She's much more of a stick motivated person. She is more the disposition of like being a little bit more anxious or like neurotic or something. And so like if there's a stick proposition, then she's like, oh, okay, better do what I'm told. I do not want the stick. So I think for some people, like maybe some people are more motivated by the stick or maybe more motivated by the carrot. And maybe this guy he didn't realize that actually Kanye was not going to accept the stick. But I mean,
And now, just to clarify, this isn't endorsing any type of abuse or anything.
oh,
Right? Put a bit of a nuanced point on this. This is like some people are motivated by a snap out of it moment rather than like, okay, I'm going to be really slow and collective with my language and like talk you through this very gently. Like some people are more motivated with that sun, like this is how it's going to be. Some people need that more quickness and more immediacy where you can't like backslide or wiggle out of it.
yeah. I mean, or just like punishment versus reward. And I think that when it comes to like some of the like this is like some older psychological studies that I think that they performed with both animals and people. For most animals, and I think most people, the carrot methodology is actually better. It's better to reward good behavior than punish bad behavior, because also it doesn't there's also like people have like innate morale and motivation, and a lot of the time if you go too heavy into just punishment of bad behavior without rewarding good behavior, it saps that motivation and morale. And like I've seen this in companies. Like the company is like, no, we're not going to reward employees. We're just going to punish them when they do something we don't like. And you know what that does to the people that are actually like doing the hard work in the corporation? It makes them hate your company, and it makes it so that they always do the bare minimum, because you're never rewarding them. And that's how you actually drive your company into the ground. I've seen it. And yet a lot of like middle level managers, they insist on just we don't need carrots. We're a stick based company. Yeah, and it's dumb, and that's how you ruin your company. But they do it anyway because I think that a lot of middle level managers and even upper level managers, they like power. And you feel a lot more powerful when you can wield the stick as opposed to the carrot, without realizing that actually in the long run you achieve much more power if you learn how to utilize the carrot and learn how to not utilize the stick. At least in my opinion. Well, we're getting a little bit into the weeds here. Let's continue watching the video.
Yeah.
And I've expressed myself calmly, and no one's scared anymore. You guys have beat me to a pulp, but I'm still alive. And now I'm not afraid. You can't threaten me. You could call me crazy. You could take the money. You could take all the supermodels. And don't take the supermodels.
Don't take the supermodels.
Don't take the supermodels.
Hey, sometimes a waitress is better than a supermodel.
That's true. That's a good point.
So,
That's a good point. Alex Jones raises an excellent point there. Sometimes the waitress is better than the supermodel. Not Not that I would know. I've never fucked a supermodel. I'm not that level of Chad. But there are merits to the waitress. I know that. I know about the merits of the waitress. The waitress is actually waitress can be great. I know that from firsthand experience. Not the supermodel.
But
yeah, that's actually
Jesus
a
is king.
really good point.
Yeah, the waitress is more likely to be an actual human being, whereas the supermodel is actually like they're more akin to what we were talking about earlier, like they're like the NSYNC or like the Backstreet Boys or whatever. Like they're manufactured crap.
Yeah, they're a freeze-dried human that you just drop a bit of your own ego on it and it kind of becomes your idealized version, but in actuality it's full of like hydrogenated oils and a whole bunch of like synthetic crap that's actually bad for you in the long run the more you indulge in it. But your ego just says, oh, I can inject my ego into this and turn it into my perfect idealized form when it's actually not.
Yeah. You know what? I think that It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia taught us something. Charlie, he was interested in the waitress. And you know what? He got it right the entire time. Okay? The waitress, that's what you want. Alex Jones and...
A lot of wisdom in Alex Jones.
And Charlie from It's Always Sunny. All right.
And I love everyone. This is love speech, Ari. This is love speech in Jesus' name, the real king.
I mean, yeah, it's love speech until Kanye starts going, look, the world has a lot of problems. And where do those problems come from? The Zionists. The Das Juden. It's not super loving. I'm not going to say it's hate speech. I don't really believe in hate speech. I don't think it's a thing. I think it's a contrivance of the left. But I don't think that that's love speech. I can say that.
Well, yeah, you should probably, if anyone interested in this, should probably watch this entire thing because Alex Jones and even on occasion Nick Fuentes does bring up the points. I'm in this situation between these three, I'm probably most likely to trust Alex Jones's take, as strange as that may seem. Alex Jones is constantly trying to say, look, there's good and bad in everybody, okay? There's good black folks and bad black folks. There's good Jews and bad Jews. There's good white people and bad white people. Like, there's good and bad everywhere. Like, Alex Jones always tries to get like the more nuanced opinion and try to steer a bit of this away from like the super hardcore certain people must now report to the ovens type of shit that this can superficially appear to be to the untrained eye. And Kanye a lot of times agrees with Alex Jones's more subtle and nuanced takes, but subtlety and nuance is not Kanye's middle name, like we talked about on the last video we did about him. So a lot of that is he's not really articulate, which he admits to himself. So he doesn't have the wisdom in dealing with this type of shit that Alex Jones has cultivated over the years.
Yeah, I mean, I think if anyone were to be capable of tempering Kanye, it would probably be Alex Jones. Also, Alex Jones, I'm not saying that he's right all the time, but historically speaking, he has had a tendency to be right. I mean, I say right as in correct, but also he's right-leaning, so he's double right. Also, I want to point this out. Alex Jones, he's banned off of YouTube, banned off of Twitter. He's apparently a conspiracy theorist, and he's evil. But I've seen a number of interviews with Alex Jones. I've listened to him talk a number of times. Alex Jones is basically just a libertarian who believes that the government is probably evil. And I know that the government hates that, and they want him to go away because those are naughty opinions. But I mean that fundamentally, that's more or less what I am. I'm a libertarian, and I believe that the government is kind of evil. So I rather like Alex Jones personally. But yeah.
Of Israel,
And he's
Jesus
so
Christ.
back, and he has
This
so
is love
many
speech.
foot and mouth
I
moments.
Alex Jones or yeah?
Alex Jones has a lot of foot and mouth moments, but
A lot of foot and mouth moments. Yeah. Hold on, Breaker, you're breaking up a bit. Yeah, he has he does have some foot and mouth moments. I agree with that. But I mean, he's been broadcasting for
a lot more foot and mouth
hold on.
moments.
He's been broadcasting for like I don't know how many years. Like I have no idea how many hours he has like just live. I at some point some foot and mouth moments are gonna happen.
Yeah.
Well, all right, we'll keep
But
going.
anyway, back
Love Jewish
thing.
people. I love supermodels. I wait a second. Let's see what Netan loves.
You love Nick Fuentes, maybe Hitler.
God.
I'm Netanyahu. I ain't never had a supermodel. Yeah, could tell.
All right, well, you're going to leave here in a few minutes, and you're going to think, gosh, I wish I would have said that. So what do you wish you would have said?
I think I said a lot. You know, I think I said I'm pretty good.
Did you retweet out a little signed picture?
Yes, I did, sir.
All right, InfoWars.com, tomorrow's news today.
Okay, great. I do think.
I think they actually keep talking
Oh, do
a
they?
bit.
Okay, I'll keep going.
after this.
Whoever's
because
staying
well,
behind is
they-
going to be here and be on air. We're going to
You don't know
unpack
where
all
it ends,
this,
really.
obviously, and cover it and, get into every issue. But, yeah, do you think humanity survives? What do you make of the mark of the beast, the forced COVID inoculations?
I mean, this is a wave in the right direction.
Why did you think you were able to do 3 hours here? You just did 3 hours, 3 minutes, by the way. You did 3 hours, 3 minutes. Why were you able to stay here but not with Tim Pool?
Because Tim Pool got the call from those boys 10 minutes before I got there and said, flag this and flag that. Also, Tim Pool is an NPC, and you're a real human being. So no one's ever heard of Tim Pool. You're the legend that is Alex Jones. And
A real human being and a real hero. Look, I don't know, but I am gonna have to press F to doubt that Tim Pool received like a mysterious phone call from some government operative, probably the MK Ultra Canadian guy that was Yee's trainer. I doubt that Tim Pool received that phone call and then was like, okay, I gotta, I don't know, like, what, mildly push back on Kanye on some identitarian politics issues. Like, Breaker, you and I went through the entire 24 minutes or whatever it was of Kanye on Tim's show. Do you think that Tim was acting as like he was being controlled by like the government, like he was a government shill during that? Like, is that the impression that you got?
To me, it just seemed like the normal Tim Pool anti-identitarian position, and a lot of the people on that panel also have very well articulated anti-identitarian politics arguments. So from my perspective, it just seemed like Tim Pool was pushing back and arguing against the kind of things that Tim Pool would have argued about with anybody, up to and including one of his heroes, that black civil rights guy that converted members of the Klan. He argued a lot with him. Watch that interview with Tim Pool. He argued with that guy a lot, and that was one of his heroes.
Yeah, exactly. I think that this is Kanye being crazy. Now, if you want to make the argument that Tim Pool is an NPC, you can make the argument, because that's just that's a character attack. Fine, whatever. Everyone is an NPC. Maybe Alex Jones is an NPC. Maybe Kanye is an NPC. Breaker, I know for a fact, is an NPC because he's not actually a human. But okay, fine. We're all NPCs. But this accusation that Tim Pool received a mysterious phone call to try to shut down Ye. I don't think it's true. I don't think that is an accurate statement. But and the fact that Kanye is so willing to just level that accusation, which seems to be just on its face untrue. Again, I don't know for a fact. It's not like I was in the studio, but why would he even try to level that accusation? Like it just on its face, it does not appear to be true. Like, why would he even try to do that? Like, it's not a serious accusation.
I think the whole Kanye West walking out thing, the more I hear about the backstage info that Tim Pool keeps dropping in his like shows after that, especially when he was talking to Michael Malice about it and everything, I think it was just a PR stunt orchestrated by Fuentes, Milo, and Kanye all working in concert together. The more you find out about what behind the scenes of that, it was kind of like the remember that movie Suicide Squad that
Yeah.
what was it, Warner Brothers tried to put out, and they tried to do like a super condensed version of the Marvel Cinematic Universe all in one movie, and it ended up just looking like a loosely articulated conglomeration of fucking movie trailers and random soundtracks in the background. I think that's the kind of thing that Milo, Ye, and Fuentes were kind of like planning to do. They were kind of like hyper condensing the I get kicked off of mainstream platform and then find me on alt tech type of thing, but they were trying to hyper condense that down into all like a 30-minute block, where usually that type of thing was a progression that took years to happen.
Yeah, now, your reference there, that's the first Suicide Squad, not the second one, right?
Yeah, the second one was a lot better, but the first one was just like loosely conglomerated movie trailer shit.
Okay, yeah, because I never saw the first one, and then I think in the second one they basically did a reboot because they realized how shit the first one was. So I never saw the first one. The second one, actually, that was a good movie. I enjoyed the second one.
Yeah, the second one was like more classic meat and potatoes superhero stuff, like redeemable villain type of angle. The first one was just like, here are all the characters jammed together into one movie that took the Marvel Cinematic Universe like a decade and multiple blockbuster movies to put together. We're just going to like hot shoe that shit and do it all in one movie, and it kind of bombed in that regard. So I think a similar thing happened here with the Fuentes, Ye, and Milo thing. We're just like, okay, we're going to hyper condense all like the drama and arguments and shit that lead to a person being deplatformed from more mainstream platforms like Tim Pool in this case. And we're just going to shoot that up into like heroin into this 130-minute block of time where normally this type of progression would take years in internet time.
Right. But it didn't exactly work out that well for them because like they weren't deplatformed. Kanye just walked off and
yeah, it's an engineered deplatforming, like they're hyper-condensing it. That's why it has that fakeness about it.
They deplatformed themselves. They were like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm going to hop off this platform willingly by my own, like, choice. Like, why?
Yeah. It's like contrived, and it's kind of a bit of that corporatism and contrivance and commodification about it. And I guarantee you that was mostly Milo, because Milo is like the Machiavellian behind-the-scenes genius, and Nick Fuentes just wants to mention Cozy.tv, so...
Yeah. No, if that were to be, and I suspect it is, but if that were to be staged, it's definitely Milo that would have been behind it. Like, that's so...
And Milo blowing smoke up Ye's ass like, oh, the greatest star in the world had to break the lid off of it. Yeah, that's like kind of a giveaway, isn't it?
Oh yeah, and then Milo saying, oh, and Nick Fuentes, the most brilliant political commentator of our generation.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's laid it on really fucking thick, so thick it's comical.
Yeah, what a you know what? I'm glad that it was just Ye in on the Alex Jones. Or just Ye and Fuentes. I'm glad that Milo wasn't on the Alex Jones thing, because like the more
Laura Loomer kind of popped on occasionally on Ye's speakerphone, but that was about it.
All right, well, let's keep going.
Back to the video.
You were fighting on the front line, and now we're here with you. You got some other superheroes part of the Avenger movie fighting for Christ and free speech.
And I called it. I said, what is this, a superhero thing with the mask? He said, yeah, but don't say it. They'll figure it out. But I was saying, yeah, I'm Lex Luthor. What is the new Ye superhero we're talking about?
It's someone in service to Jesus Christ, not into his own ego.
Jesus, man.
And that I have my rights. You know, I had the right to wear a mask for the entire. I had the right to wear a super, super, super fresh jacket. You know, I had the right to tell God,
that is a fresh jacket.
Please don't take away.
Please don't take away the commercial.
All right. Let's see, is there I think that was it in terms of the clips that they posted.
Yeah, like a lot of the other stuff, they probably like carefully selected those particular clips.
Nope, there's more.
Okay, here we go.
All right. This one looks interesting. Okay, so we have Ye reveals who screwed him over in business, and we also have, Ye says pornography is the gateway drug to pedophilia. and they're all wearing masks. So I'm kind of interested in the one where they're all wearing masks. Where
Yeah, that's a good one.
because Ye is wearing his mask, and then it looks like Alex Jones is he's a lizard person, and then Fuentes is actually Alex Jones. All right, this seems worth it.
So for people to have this moral code about pedophilia, but no moral code about strip clubs, pornography, and the sex industry, it's not what the Bible says. The Bible says that all of that is wrong. So Jesus said so, or Jesus said no.
And a commercial brought to you by Band-Up Video.
Free shipping is back.
Yeah, we got
at
free
Info
shipping.
Or free
Wars.
shipping.
Can you repeat that?
Fucking Alex and his
Yeah,
goddamn
I just
commercial.
saw.
Naga situation. You made a great. This does really good. So now your enemy's in here hosting the show with you, yay. We got Nick Fuentes, one of my best buddies. He works for us, does a really good job. He's over there with us. Oh, now he's turning to Alex Jones. So what are we gonna do here? Yay. The Balenciaga situation. You made a great point during a break earlier about how they just need a new devil, but that's a devil to distract us from the fact that we become the devil. But that's kind of what you said. Can you repeat that?
Yeah, I just saw people making videos about it, and I said, it just seems like it's just more noise.
You know, I find this. I want to point out. I find this to be absolutely hilarious because, like this is somewhat important, like political, cultural commentary, and Ye is wearing a gimp mask. Alex Jones is a lizard person, and Nick Fuentes is Alex Jones, and they're actually and they're like trying to have like a serious conversation about the ills of our civilization. And I think if I were to put it into your words, the AI that is Breaker, this is would this be the purple jester god or whatever?
Yeah, these are the sacred jesters. These are the jesters that point out. They extremely hyperbolize it and like make it like argumentum ad absurdum levels, where it's just like so insane. Where Alex Jones is the lizard person, Fuentes is Alex Jones, and Kanye is a gimp. This is like the ultimate jester because the jester wears many masks. And the jester like comments about society, and he pokes holes in your reasoning, and he turns things around and like turns things upside down to force you to view them from a different perspective. And it's through like this humorous lens that disarms all your rational faculties, and you're getting into the humor. You're having a good laugh at all these absurd masks that they're wearing. But at the same time, like you said, it is very serious socio-political commentary that they're doing, intermixed with the fun and masks and good old times.
Brilliant.
Noise and mayhem and code red and things to get people outraged. As I said before, every form of pornography is only 10 years away from pedophilia. Anybody that's watching pornography, if you're watching a woman have sex on camera, she's reliving the trauma of being molested. Like a greater majority of women that end up being strippers, prostitutes, or pornographers, adult film stars, have gone through the trauma of experiencing pedophilia. But sex is a legal drug that's pushed to destroy humanity. If you drive down the street.
Okay. All right. This is something that I've heard argued from different places. I'm sure that someone like the distributist, I'm thinking, he might actually very much agree with Kanye's point here, being the reactionary Catholic that he is. By the way, what is it with Catholics and being like extremely reactionary? It's like one of those things. Yeah, I don't know if you see it as much from the Protestants. I mean, except for like maybe like the Westboro Baptist Church. But God, the Catholics, they can get really heavy-handed. But
yeah, well, when you're dealing with like ontological evil, and if you believe that evil is real and it's essentially confined into like some type of superordinate enemy that tempts you and flows into every one of your desires and pulls them downward into the abyss, into oblivion, into darkness, into hell. If you have that type of worldview, of course you're going to sound very reactionary, because that is not a laughing matter. It's very serious business.
Yes, yes, indeed. Okay, so obviously, right? We here at the Promethean Tides, we are filled with degeneracy. Like
Degeneracy.
for instance, Breaker, although he is an AI, he's a gay AI, which is degenerate as all hell. I mean, my God. And myself, well, I'm a libertarian, and so that's degenerate enough, right? But I don't know. I don't. I understand that some people have an addiction to porn, and maybe that absolutely fucking ruins their lives or whatever. But I don't know. I'm not like I think that porn can exist. I don't think that porn leads to pedophilia. I don't think that that's the case. I mean, maybe for some people it might, but I would argue that they were probably going to be pedophiles to begin with, right?
Well, here's the type of thing about that. Now, you'll see this kind of play out as this video clip progresses as we get deeper into it. But remember when we were talking about a while, it might have even been recorded on the after show we did last time, like the notion that all guns are loaded has a type of utility value to it, even though empirically speaking, not all guns are loaded empirically. But if you go in it with the attitude that all guns are loaded, you'll have a totally different attitude from the ground up. You'll have an instinctually different attitude from the ground up about when you're handling a gun under any circumstances, whether it is actually loaded or not, if you always assume it's loaded. And this type of moralistic language from the Christian perspective, when likening all pornography to either eventually turning into pedophilia or coming from pedophilia, or it's hits like the worst, most abhorrent thing you could imagine, even though in all cases you might find it's not empirically true, it's the same as that the all guns are loaded moral idiom.
Yeah, okay, so I guess their argument is that there's an inherent danger to pornography. And
Yes.
I mean, yeah, that could be the case, but there's an inherent danger to a lot of things in life. Like there's an inherent danger to alcohol, right? There's an inherent danger to smoking cigarettes. There's an inherent danger to smoking weed. There's an inherent danger to driving your car. There's an inherent danger to most things in life, and I guess as the degenerate libertarian that I am, believing in individual freedom as opposed to the government deciding what is or is not good for you, which is completely degenerate, I suppose. I think that people should be allowed to make the choices for themselves. Like, if you want to watch porn, fine. If you don't want to watch porn, whatever. That's on you. Like, if Kanye is really against porn, then all right, don't watch porn. That's fine. Make sure that your kids aren't watching porn. Take away their phones. That's fine. Raise your kids however you want. Treat yourself however you want. But what I've seen is that, we need, actually, the populace is too stupid. You'll notice that this comes from both sides of authoritarianism, left or right. The populace is too stupid to be able to figure these things out for themselves. So we need Big Daddy government to come in and, govern me harder, Daddy, and tell you that you're not allowed to watch porn. No, fuck that. Fuck that shit.
That's like the inherent difference between me and Parallax, and I think you've been on a couple of these conversations. There's a difference between freedom from and freedom to, because the libertarian's first instinct is going to be freedom from overly authoritarian government control in a top-down sense. We need to be free from the government trying to always tell us what to do. Now, the other side of that, the freedom to, like you've talked about with parental sovereignty in the past, we need to be free to govern our own lives and the lives of our children in the best possible ways that we see fit.
No, I would argue that both of those are freedom from. My freedom to raise my children how I see fit is actually freedom from other people telling me how I ought raise my children. It's fundamentally still freedom from.
They're co-substantial in that way, but you can't really, and this is something that's a third wheel to most libertarians, including you in a lot of cases, I think. You can't really have the appreciation of what freedom to really means without the freedom from at the same time.
Yeah. It's two sides of the same coin, really.
Yeah, because government can overreach too much and be too authoritarian and tyrannical. That's not like a throwaway criticism that's easily dismissible. That is a good point that a lot of libertarians bring up very, very often. You included, and Michael Malice, and that weird guy on Tim Pool, the weird fat guy. I can't remember his fucking name.
Fat.
Rinkowski.
Yeah, Luke.
Yeah, Luke Rinkowski. Yeah, that guy. All the libertarians make that point, but it's always they view freedom from as just manifestly negative. Like, it's an ontological evil. Like, freedom from, you should always be free from any type of authoritarian control. But when you atomize that all the way down to a level of a family structure, you'll notice how it doesn't work. Your child shouldn't always be free from your parental control, or they'll wander into the street and die.
Yeah. Okay, so, I've made this point myself, right? In the way that I view the best way to set up the world, from my perspective, at the highest levels, you have the highest level of libertarianism, and at the smallest levels, you have the highest amount of, I guess, communism, essentially, right? Like, within a family, there, I would never want to have my family be based off of libertarian values, right? Like, what do I do? Like, my kid turns 18, and then I go, okay, well, here's the bill. This is all the food. This is your rent for the last 18 years. And also, like, this is the interest payments that you owe. By the way, the interest payments are continuing. So, like, you'll continue to owe me money until you pay off the debt of you living under my household for the last 18 years. Like, that's a horrible fucking way to run a family. Like, the ideal to run a family is actually a little bit communist. It's like, yeah, we share resources here because we're a family. We share resources. But then when
there's also authoritarianism in the family too, because there's an asymmetry of powers and capacities, and your children are always going to be on the bottom of that lever. They don't have the capacity to appreciate their choices, and they don't have the mental and spiritual and physical or whatever wherewithal to exercise what is best for them in the world. So there has to be some type of authoritarian dictates on children, like, no, you cannot eat ice cream before bed, no, you cannot wander into the street, no, you cannot do all these things. And it just has to be like a cut-off fucking authoritarian guillotine that just says flatly no to a lot of the stupid shit that your kids are going to want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like, on the smallest levels of society, authoritarian communism actually makes the most sense. I would never say that like fucking anarcho-capitalism is good for the family. Like, that's how you destroy a family. That's fucking terrible. But in the same way, authoritarian communism does not actually work at the highest levels of civilization, because at that point, it's daddy government taking care of you and telling you what to do, and you're like a 30-year-old man, and you're like, I don't want this. I don't need this. So,
and the authoritarian governments at the highest levels, they don't have that same connection like a family is going to have with you. They're that deep, emotional, sub-rational connection. For the authoritarian government top down, whether it's communist, fascist, or whatever, and at the end of the day, they just end up seeing you like numbers to be moved around an Excel spreadsheet to balance some type of abstract equation, and they don't really see you like real humans with emotions, and they don't feel that they themselves are like a parent to you. They're just the fucking boss moving you the number around on the Excel spreadsheet, trying to balance their fucking communist society equation or balance their great fascist society equation.
No, yeah, exactly. I couldn't agree more. So the thing is that, like, when it comes to this authoritarianism, it makes sense on the smallest levels. At the family level, maybe even within like a little bit less authority, but still some authority within like a small community level, right? Like in your, like, if you know your neighbors, you talk to your neighbors, like you have like some community, like maybe you have a little bit of authoritarianism going on there. Like, yo, like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you can't fucking, you're my neighbor. Why is there a big raging party happening at 2 a.m.? Like, stop, right? But when it gets to like the highest levels of control over civilization, that's where I think that you want to have like the maximum like libertarian values. Like, hey, we're all adults here. I don't stop telling people what to do. Unfortunately, the system that I think that the left has basically put forward is that it's the inverse of I think that kind of natural order of affairs. What they want is they want all of the families to be atomized. They want all of the people in the family to be atomized. They want the parent to not have that much say over their child. The school can tell you what to do with your child, not you. Just completely tear apart the family unit and the authority that the parents have over the children. Put that authority somewhere else. But then at the highest levels of civilization, that's where we need to put the most amount of control and authority. We want to have like the full-on authoritarian socialist government, and that's how you create the perfect society. Destroy the family unit and take all the power that would exist there and put it all into the government, which is the opposite way of I think how you actually build like a decent civilization.
Yeah, I would probably agree with you more than what you might think, but we need to get back to the video and never get fucking done.
That is a good point.
In California, they will be pushing strip clubs, they're pushing alcohol, they're pushing sex. It's this is like, so for people to have this moral code about pedophilia but no moral code about strip clubs, pornography, and the sex industry, it's not what the Bible says. I'm
just going to minimize this so that people can see it. So it says, here's your brain on heroin, here's your brain on porn.
Damn.
Okay.
That's pretty freaking bad, isn't it?
No, it's not. It's not, is the thing. It's not at all. This is stupid. Okay, so this is just different parts of your brain being more or less activated under the effects of these different things, right? It's not saying much. Yes, different things are going to change activation levels in your brain. Okay?
Yeah.
Great. Of course. Like, you know what? Here's the thing. Take the here's your brain. I don't know what the base level of that is. Maybe it's someone just like in a room staring at a wall, just fucking meditating or some shit. I don't know. Maybe that's here's your brain thing. I don't know like where this data is coming from. It says www.conquerseries.com. I guess I don't know. But okay, check this out. Take your brain and then take your brain when you're going for a jog. There's going to be differences in like the activation structures in your brain. Take your brain and then take your brain when you're playing a video game or when you're playing chess or when you're doing lots and lots of things. You will see different activation patterns in the brain. This is such a fucking this is a nothing.
Yeah, you can like cynically deconstruct this and methodologize this and like the scientific methods. Like I'm not shitting on you or disagreeing with you. It's like I know it's like this singular thing isn't conclusive proof of really anything, but this kind of goes back to like the moral utility that Jordan B. Peterson and me were talking about and everyone was talking about back a couple days ago, where it's like this is similar to the all guns are loaded, even though empirically you know that cannot be a scientific truth fact. And if you assert like all guns are loaded, it's like, that sounds like a conjecture. Let me go out and test and empirically verify that all guns are loaded. You find one gun that isn't loaded. It's like, checkmate. Your conjecture is broken because I have found a single gun that isn't loaded. And then your whole thing is disproven. But that's not what the all guns are loaded is actually trying to teach you.
Okay.
It's trying to teach you to form a habit.
Maybe. And, like, look. There is truth there, and I'm willing to accept that there is like when it comes to like these deep religions like Catholicism or even Judaism or Islam or Buddhism or whatever. There are deep truths that exist that one can learn from, and so I agree. Like that, like there are true statements that are not true, as Jordan B. Peterson would say. But I want to point out, right? What does heroin do? Like, doesn't it just like release a shit ton of dopamine?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
so,
sex also releases dopamine, and pornography, by extension, would release a bit less, but roughly equal amounts of dopamine. So yeah, that's what this is actually showing.
Okay, so this is what you do. Do a brain scan of a man who is like he is in the process of achieving orgasm and dumping his load into a woman. Okay, take a brain scan at that moment, and then compare it to heroin, and then you can go, oh my god, when you have sex with and then come inside a woman, it's just like heroin. Oh my god, this is dangerous. No, it's not. That's not dangerous. There's a really good reason why it is that men need to continue to dump their loads into women, okay? Like, I'm not labeling this shit as dangerous just because, oh, I see a superficially similar pattern in a fucking brain scan. Okay, this is...
Yeah, it's not... This isn't meant, like, I keep telling you, this isn't meant to be, like... It's kind of shitty when they do it like this, when they bring up things like brain scans and graphs, and they bring that, like, air of scientific legitimacy, that this is kind of residue of the cathedral going on here. This is like scientism, but this is like the more right-wing sensibilities using that type of scientism, which is ultimately a tool of the fucking enemy. So you're right to call out this type of stuff and criticize it, but you have to also at the same time be discerning. And what are these people around here actually trying to tell you? Now, if this was like a leftist trying to make a similar point with this same exact series of images, but with a leftist ideology on it, you would still call it out and criticize it like you're doing right now, but the underlying sentiment would be different if it was coming from progressive leftists, like if Vaush brought this up and was trying to make a different point than what these guys are trying to make.
He would say the left would use this exact same image, and they would go, well, you see, in the same way that you can abuse heroin, you can abuse women. And so, actually, like both of these brain structures are similar to, like, the idea of abuse. And like obviously porn is abusive to women, and that's why we need to end porn.
Yeah, that's the lefty side of it.
Yeah,
and you would still criticize this graph, and you're criticizing it what these guys are saying, but what you have to realize is that you have to exercise that discernment to be like, okay, whether the left or right uses this form of scientism, and it kind of does them a bit of a disservice when the right wing does this, because you and I both know that what they're showing right now is scientism. I'm not disagreeing with you on that. It's kind of like, from our perspective, especially your perspective, this is kind of shitting on their whole point, the mere fact that they introduced this little informational scientismic graft that they're doing here.
Yeah, like, their point would be stronger if they didn't have the fucking graph. That's what I'm saying. But anyway, let's keep going.
The Bible says that all of that is wrong. So Jesus said so, or Jesus said no. That's when we just need to follow.
So let me ask you this. What about world population?
Jesus said so, or Jesus said no? Is that just halal versus haram? Interesting.
That's the short version of it.
I don't want to live in a world where everything is categorized into halal versus haram, because the world is not black and white. I just want to point that out.
Kanye, by his own admission, isn't the best articulate in this. He's doing the best he can with what he's got, which is not a lot by his own admission. So hearing Kanye say this, I guess I'm taking for granted that I have more deeper theological and moralistic moral philosophy conversations with people on these type of subjects a lot, and we get into like the big boy tools a lot in those conversations, like people with parallax, people like even you and me, when we have these moral discussions. But Kanye, one, he's just coming into this, and two, by his own admission, he's not the sharpest tool in the shed. So yeah, okay. But I could see like the sentiment behind it is more correct.
You're right. You're giving okay. I think that actually what you might be doing is more correct, because you're giving him the benefit of the doubt, whereas I'm analyzing this as though like I'm talking to like someone who's been talking about this for years, right? Like that's how I'm analyzing this. Like, so maybe I should be analyzing this as though this is a newbie. It's just that, isn't Kanye West like a 45-year-old man? Like
yeah, but he's lived that 45-year-old life surrounded by handlers in the belly of the beast, engaging in threesomes and alcohol and drugs all the time, and he's just now turning his life around away from that. So if you were talking to Kanye from several years ago and asking about threesomes and drugs and where to go to get the best cocaine, he might be able to tell you all these things with a big giant grin on his face, and he would know like all the connections. But now he's entering an entirely different part of his life where he's like going into this redemption, more spiritualistic, more Christian perspective, and he sounds like he's 40 some years old, but he sounds like a total newbie. So you're kind of conflating in your mind like age denotes wisdom, but that's not always the case because he's wise in being a fucking billionaire superstar playboy. He's not wise in being a chaste Christian yet.
Okay. You know what? That's a fair point.
People,
okay, let's get back
they
to
want
the
to
thing.
sterilize us. They want to promote transgenderism. They want to depopulate us. Do you think that that's accurate, or I mean, what do you think of the New World Order and its overall agenda?
I believe so. I'm more of a gut feeling person. Like I said, I'm the battering ram, and you guys are the SWAT team to come in afterwards and then give the information. God has people, different kind of.
That's actually, I think that's a great analogy. Kanye is a battering ram, and I guess like other people like Alex Jones or like other people. I wouldn't say like a Nick Fuentes, but other people are like the SWAT team that moves in after Kanye West has busted down the door. I think that's actually an apt analogy. Kanye West has proven himself to be very good at busting down doors. He doesn't know what to do after the door is busted down. It's like a dog chasing a car, right? Once the dog has caught the car, what the fuck does the dog do? The dog has no idea. It caught the car, but now what does it do? It doesn't know what to do. Kanye is like that. He's actually, he has proven himself to be very good at busting down doors. To what end? For what purpose? Nobody knows. But he can bust down the door. That is actually...
Yeah, he's the one, he's like the big celebrity wrecking ball that gets all the eyes of the media on this type of discussion. And then once all the eyes are on it and everyone wants to know more, like curiosity intensifies, desire to know more intensifies, then they actually go to BitChute to Alex Jones and hopefully they watch the whole thing through and through and get all of the nuanced and context that people like Alex Jones and arguably to a lesser extent Nick Fuentes, because he doesn't even talk a lot during this, but anyway, yeah, they're like the laser guided SWAT team that comes after the door's been busted down. Like once all the eyeballs are on it, then you listen to Alex Jones and Fuentes and whoever else talking about the more nuanced stuff.
Yeah, actually an apt analogy. Now, when it comes to when it comes to Yay 2024 or Yay 2028, I don't think that he's demonstrating presidential material, because you need a little bit more than just busting down doors to run a nation. I'm still, I still don't see anything to actually support his candidacy, because you can't...
Yeah, he's not leadership material. Like, you can't just be a wrecking ball and a leader at the same time. Those are like non-overlapping skill sets.
Unless you're Trump, in which case you can be both, because you're a fucking...
Or unless you're something like Genghis Khan in a totally different environment where the rule of conquest is supreme and you could just wrecking ball and steamroll every fucking thing and conquer the fucking world. But the world doesn't work like that anymore.
No, and in fact, Genghis Khan's empire dried up in about a generation. But all right.
Yeah, there you go.
Different kind of warriors, different heights, different mindsets, different colors, and our collective agenda needs to be to serve God in what we do. And we
can't do that if we don't have an open, free debate.
What'd you say? I'm sorry.
We can't do that if we don't have an open, free debate.
And that's what we have. God brought us here. You created this platform, the InfoWars. I heard about the legend of Alex Jones from this lady named Tracy Gwen, who is faking like a Christian, is really, you know what? Much love to Tracy Romulus and Tracy Gwen, because this is the type of person I will sue. I'm just going to say I prefer that person not be next to my children. So much love, and Jesus, God bless your family. I would prefer that person be not next to my children. Next person, next subject.
Okay, cool. Well, there was some clips from the Yay interview with Alex Jones. I'm not gonna say that we necessarily all learned a lesson from that or learned that much, but it was a thing that happened, and that's important.
Yeah, you see, he has discernment, but his discernment is very primordial. It's like his base instinctual love for his children doesn't want these type of weird lefty, potentially abusive and manipulative people around his children for reasons which I don't think you need to speculate very long as to why he would think that. But you see, when it comes to like the really simple meat and potatoes, like human nature stuff, he does have the discernment where he could say simultaneously, he loves her and God bless her, but I would prefer she not be around my children. But the more primordial stuff, like your instinct to protect your children, is so deep-seated that it's the kind of thing you don't have to think about or articulate very much. It's just this raw primal emotion, like, creepy person, I do not want around child. Grug smash creep. When creep get near Grug child. Ooh, ooh, ooh. That's like very monkey mind basic shit. Not a racial comment, just an analogy.
Yes, yeah, a monkey mind that anyone would be capable of engaging. Yeah, the I do find it to be interesting that like even after decades of just being in the corporate like controlled box where he's being put out there as a product or whatever, even after decades of that, decades of, I assume, lots of drugs and sex and doing degenerate things, even after all of that, when he snaps, where does he come back to? He comes back to the state of nature, and he goes, all right, fuck, I just woke up from a dream. What do? Protect my kids. I have kids, gotta protect them. And that's it. I think that at this point, Kanye, it's like he just woke up from the Matrix, and so the only thing that he knows is something that is instinctual. And the instinctual is, I don't like the creepy people, and I want to protect my kids. And that is something that it's something that's so deep in human nature that as much as the machine, as much as the system would like to crack that and break it, I don't think that they'll be able to. And I think that Kanye West is an excellent example of this. It's like if you can't break the core base humanity in your little corporate tool, how do you propose to do that on the rest of the population that is not nearly as under your thumb? So I guess at the end of the day, maybe we did learn something here. And the thing that we learned is the thing that, of course, I'm always preaching, but eventually nature always wins out.
Yeah, the only thing I would add to that, to like bring up Aristotle, your favorite philosopher, as you've said in the past, in Aristotelian virtue ethics, you have this notion of the man who finds virtue. At first, he's always rationalizing and thinking about the virtue and having to constantly check himself on an intellectual, like, conscious level. It's like, I could do that, but, that would be a bad thing according to, like, in Kanye's case specifically, like, Christianity. Like, God wouldn't want me to do that, so I better reconsider that. Eventually, though, as you've gone and you've matured in that process, in the words of Aristotle, the truly virtuous man does not even have to think about impeding himself or like doing something like succumbing to vice. The truly virtuous man just has the instinctual gut reaction to avoid vice and exemplify virtue without having to think about it. And like what the example I just gave, the easiest things that come to you are like matters of instinct, like protect children. That's already in there on the gut level, and you don't have to, it's like breathing. You don't have to think about protect children because that's so deep-seated on an evolutionary level, as you often like to put it. But the other more complex stuff, like he's getting to this agape love theology, that's one of the top of the mountain. That's the pinnacle, when you no longer have to think to love other people as you love yourself. That just happens. That's a much longer and more arduous road that he is just starting on.
Maybe like in 10 years, Kanye will actually be like on the level of Jordan Peterson, if he really tries at it and he sits down and he reads a bunch and he listens to a bunch of people. Like he could, I think Jordan Peterson is probably like about 10 years older than Kanye. So like in 10 years, maybe Kanye could be the next Jordan Peterson if he actually puts his mind to it. I mean, he's a smart dude. He's a little bit out there. He's clearly a smart dude. I mean, you don't become you don't become Kanye without being a smart dude. Let me put it like that.
He's smart in very specific ways, like he himself admits. Like he's like kind of this specialist, like he likened the analogy to being the battering ram that beats down the door. He's like the big bombastic famous specialist that all the eyes are on him and everyone loves his music and his fashion and the aesthetic qualities of it. He's a specialist in that particular type of thing, and in that world he's like like a fierce interlocutor in the world of like music and fashion and pop culture stuff.
Let me say this though. A dumb battering ram will just beat down any door, and that's a bad battering ram. Even if you are a battering ram, you have to have the intelligence and the discernment to know which door to beat down.
Yeah, and he's getting that from his like awakening into Christianity. Like he likens himself to a vessel of God. Like it's literally the hand of God using him as the battering ram and to act out the will of God in everything we do and everything we are. Like he said numerous times during this interview with Alex Jones, he's really likening that to Christianity. So from his perspective, although it might not be your perspective, from his perspective, the thing using him as like the otherwise dumb, indiscriminate battering ram, like the analogy you gave, is literally the hand of God and the spirit of God moving within him to know which doors to beat down, like the pedophilia and Instagram and all the pornography and all the vice. Like that's the type of door that the hand of God itself is utilizing him to beat down.
Yeah, I think that if you were to talk to like most Christians, they would say that like, okay, that's probably Kanye's interpretation of God. That's not actually God acting through him. But okay, fine. Like that, maybe Kanye's interpretation of God is like maybe that will be an effective battering ram. What I would say is that I don't think like if anything, and of course I would say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. If anything is actually channeling itself through Kanye, it is actually perhaps the nature God itself is channeling itself through Kanye, realizing that the system is corrupt and there has to be forces that will tackle the system and potentially, he has just the correct genetic mutation to be that idealized battering ram with enough selectivity that it does some good for human reproduction and replication and making sure that everyone can have more babies and that we're not spaying and neutering our children. Anyway, so...
The only thing I'll add to that is, like, I hope at some point in the future, although I can't guarantee this, and it might be a bit egotistical of me to, like, project this onto him, but I would hope in the future that he eventually learns that being this bombastic and forward about the curly hats and a very specific barbecue involving the curly hats that may or may not have happened in history, and how many dinner guests at this barbecue of the curly hats were or were not there. I think that type of rhetoric is something that hopefully eventually the more he matures in this, he will start to realize that one, people that bring up the curly hat and their barbecue extravaganza don't really have his best interest in heart. It's more of a fucking political grift. And two, it's like that's kind of like a dead end road to go down, like as you and I have talked about many times, curly hats and their barbecue that may or may not have happened. That's kind of like a dead end road in numerous different paths, so it doesn't end anywhere good. And I just hope for his sake that he eventually comes to that type of wisdom and discernment in the future.
I would like to point out that I believe that the barbecue happened. I understand that there are questions about the number of attendees of said barbecue. But
there you go. The metaphors are really thick now.
I think the barbecue definitely happened though. There was a gathering. They all did a barbecue. I don't know exactly how many attendees there were. I'm sure...
These metaphors are as thick as like a layer of ash that you can rub your finger through almost.
I'm sure that the Grillion, whatever the Grillion number is accurate. I don't know enough.
The Grillion.
Yeah, the Grillion. I don't know the numbers. I'm not a historian, and I'm not going to profess to know anything about the subject. Mostly because none of my people were either the hosts of the barbecue or the attendees of the barbecue, and generally speaking, I don't care that much. I was taught a lot about the barbecue in school, and I was taught so much about the barbecue every single year for like 2 months every single year that eventually I grew bored of learning about the barbecue. And so at this point, I don't really care anymore. I'm sorry if that's offensive. also, I've never liked barbecues to begin with. I'm not a big fan of barbecues.
Nor am I, actually, especially this particular type of symbolic barbecue that we are discussing. I've never been a big fan of them either, that I could talk about that on maybe an Odyssey exclusive. I don't know.
Yeah, just not something that I'm just personally inclined to care that much about. I am a fence sitter. I do not have strong positions one way or the other about the number of attendees at the barbecue. Not only do I not have strong opinions, I do not care. It does not enter my worldview whatsoever, because you know what? I also know that there were other barbecues that were taking place. And for some reason, everyone likes to focus on one particular barbecue when actually there was a lot of other barbecues. And, you know, one could say that there are still barbecues that are going on to this day that might be actually more relevant to our current times, such as one particular barbecue that they're hosting in China. And you know,
oh yeah, that Chinese barbecue is like, there's a lot of attendees there, people that in very high places that you probably wouldn't expect to be attendees or even hosts of a barbecue. They're like loving it up over there.
Yeah, and people don't talk about that barbecue because apparently that barbecue is not as important as the other barbecues that have historically happened. One specific one in particular. I don't really care that much about the historical barbecues. You know what? I actually care more about the present day barbecues that I might end up being an attendee of. Some of these barbecues I would not like to be an attendee of. And all right, we've carried this metaphor as far as it will go.
With no transition whatsoever, Elon Musk.
Right. So, all right. So we're gonna move on to the next story. We have two stories. We just got through that one, and here is the second story, and arguably a much larger story, to be honest, than whatever the fuck Kanye was saying on the Alex Jones show. We just spent a lot of time going through that, but every time that Breaker and I go through a video, we take forever going through it. I don't know what it is. That's just what we do. I guess that's just the structure of the show. But so from American First Report, Elon Musk reveals what really happened to the Hunter Biden laptop story. Now,
oh shit.
Elon Musk, like he posted some tweets and he was like, "Hey, I'm going to be releasing this information." A few hours went by, nothing came up, and then eventually Matt Taibbi, I guess, was the guy who started releasing all of this dump of Twitter information, and some of it is actually quite damning. So I got this article because going through it on Twitter is a little bit obnoxious. So this article was like a good compilation of what happened. So Elon Musk goes, what really happened with the Hunter Biden story suppression by Twitter will be published on Twitter at 5 p.m. ET. And he goes, we're double checking some facts, so probably start live tweeting in about 40 minutes. This guy says, is double checking some facts code for help Hillary is in the building? Much humor. And then Elon Musk goes, here we go, and then it drops to Matt Taibbi, and it goes, number 1, thread, the Twitter files. What you're about to read is the first installment in a series based upon thousands of internal documents obtained by sources at Twitter. The Twitter files tell an incredible story from inside one of the world's largest and most influential social media platforms. It is a Frankensteinian tale of a human-built mechanism grown out of the control of its designers. Twitter, in its conception, was a brilliant tool for engaging instant mass communication, making a true, real-time global conversation possible for the first time. In an early conception, Twitter more than lived up to its mission statement, giving people the power to create and share ideas and information instantly without barriers. As time progressed, however, the company was slowly forced to add those barriers. Some of the first tools for controlling speech were designed to combat the likes of spam and financial fraudsters. All right, yeah, fair enough. Slowly, over time, Twitter staff and executives began to find more and more uses for these tools. Outsiders began petitioning the company to manipulate speech as well. First a little, then more often, then constantly. By 2020, requests from connected actors to delete tweets were routine. One executive would write to another, "More to review from the Biden team." The reply would come back, "Handled." And so, here's the tweet. More to review from the Biden team. Blah, 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 blah. Thanks all. And then someone replied, "Handled these." So basically, the Biden campaign, who at this point was not in the White House, they were just campaigning to become part of the White House, and I'm sure that during 2020, I'm sure that or actually would have been 2019. I'm sure that the Biden campaign didn't have any connections themselves to the government that would make sure that the shit that they wanted taken off of Twitter was actually taken off. I'm sure it was all just their campaign influences. Yeah, the government's not involved here at all. Don't worry, folks. Celebrities and unknowns alike could be removed or reviewed at the behest of the political party. So this tweet reads, I grabbed the first one under SI, deferred to safety on the high profile second one. An additional report from DNC. These are some other see, this is Stephen Lujan and Real James Woods. So there's that. Both parties had access to these tools. For instance, in 2020, requests from both the Trump White House and the Biden campaign were received and honored. However, the system wasn't balanced. It was based on contacts. Because Twitter was and is overwhelmingly staffed by people of one political orientation, there were more channels, more ways to complain, open to the left, well, Democrats, than the right. Here we can see that when it comes to political contributions, the percent to Democrats from Twitter was 99.73% to Dems and 0.27% to Republicans. So obviously, there's like just a teensy bit of a slant, when it's 99.7% of a slant towards the Democrats and 0.3% to the Republicans. Like there's a tiny bit of a slant there. I'm not saying it's like a total slant. It's not like, well, it's more than 100 to 1, but it's not like 100 to 0. So it's a bit of a slant, we could say. The resulting slant in content moderation decisions is visible in the documents you're about to read. However, it's also the assessment of multiple current and former high-level executives. So the Twitter Files Part 1, How and Why Twitter Blocked the Hunter Biden Laptop Story. On October 14th, 2020, the New York Post published Biden's secret emails, an expose based on the contents of Hunter Biden's abandoned laptop. Now, I will break here, and I will say, all of this came out in late. This came out in late 2020, and it was kind of like an October surprise from the Republicans to damage Biden. Fine, October surprises are allowed in America. That's all right. Now, the Hunter Biden laptop was actually kind of a big deal. But it was suppressed by Twitter and by a number of other social media platforms, including Facebook. The New York Post itself had their account banned or whatever because they dared post this thing because it was misinformation or something like that. It was hacked material, and this ought not be allowed on the perfect platform that is Twitter. And actually, a number of Americans, they said that if they had known about the Hunter Biden laptop, then they would not have ended up voting for Biden. And in fact, this might have been enough to sway the election actually towards Trump. because so many people would have been disgusted by the contents of the Hunter Biden laptop that they would have been like, oh, yeah, I don't know if I trust Joe Biden in that case. I mean, at the very least, he's you know, how is it that someone could raise such a man as Hunter Biden? There must be something weird about Joe Biden if he raised such a man as Hunter Biden. Not even connecting this to the political implications, just connecting this to just you know, the character that is Joe Biden.
You know what I imagine when I see this playing out? I imagine, like, okay, Joe Biden, like, the story is starting to break, and the Hunter Biden laptop is starting to break. He's like, oh, come on, man, America, but my son Hunter, he's a good dude. Hillary Hampton, I mean Hillary Clinton, do the thing. And then Hillary Clinton puts on, like, the Balenciaga Kanye West gimp mask, and she comes out with, like, this stack of, like, ninja stars in the shape of emails, and she's like, did someone say emails? And she starts throwing them like fucking ninja stars at all the fucking social medias. But now a new champion has arrived in the form of Elon Musk, and he has this gigantic God Emperor armor on, and he has this shield of truth with the Twitter bird on the front of it, and he's like, not today, Hillary Clinton 9000. And he's just blocking all the fucking emails, like 300, they're getting stuck in the shield, and he's knocking them off with his fucking spears, like, the spear of truth will reveal everything. I will leak all of the stories, all of your backdoor deals will be made to light. And he throws the fucking spear up into the dome of obfuscation and shatters it into a million pieces, and the sun of truth shines through at last. All hail God Emperor Elon, king of Twitter.
You know, that was a very specific reference that you made, and I don't know if it's the same reference, but back in I think, God, it would have been like 2016. There's a game called a Totally Accurate Battle Simulator.
Yes, that's exactly where I got that from.
Yeah, at that point, it was like in a pre-alpha. And I think they removed the characters like on their like release, but back in like the alpha of that, there was they had a Trump and Hillary, and I forget what Trump's move was, but Hillary's
Trump
move...
had double M16s, and he built walls that had other M16s
right.
on top of them.
That's right. Yeah. Trump was dual wielding the M16s, and he could build walls. Hillary was she could like hyper fastly throw emails, so she was like one of like she was like a ninja that could throw the stars, but it was her emails, and that is such a fucking obscure reference. I'm surprised that both of us know that reference. Like, that's old.
You can still see Jacksepticeye on YouTube. You can still look up his Jacksepticeye video, where he's like new characters in Totally Accurate Battle Simulator. He's playing with Trump and Hillary both, but in the game, it's weird. They made Hillary's ability much more powerful than Trump's. Because Trump, technically, by the numbers, he has a more powerful ability because he's got the double M16s and the walls. But even in the game, which is weirdly prescient, when he builds the walls, he can get killed by his own walls, and his walls can damage himself. So he ends up dying quicker than Hillary, and she's just throwing emails. So weirdly, that's kind of prophetic if things have happened in the future, weirdly enough.
All right, so this is not important to anyone, but just to go into like a little bit of this game. Okay, so if you did a one-on-one Trump versus Hillary, then Hillary would win. She had a higher DPS output. However, when it came to army versus army, Trump was more of an AOE effect. So like if you had two armies and Trump was at the head of one army and Hillary Clinton was the head of the other army, and they were the same army, Trump would actually win because of the AOE effect of the wall. Like so like 1 versus 1 Hillary wins, but like group versus group Trump would generally win, if I remember correctly. So
you'll never stop my emails, and the walls block all the emails, and you can actually get through. Yeah, I watched the battles, like army versus army, play out. And usually, if it was just Hillary leading her army and Trump leading his army, you're right, it did play out in Trump's favor. That's why we gotta be soldiers for God, like Kanye West said. We gotta be the battering ram to break down the walls so the light of Trump's truth can shine through.
No, there's like a deep metaphor behind that, right? It's like Hillary Clinton is in it for herself. She's like powerful, but only for herself. She doesn't actually improve her own base. But Trump actually would help his own base, even though he was like less powerful than Hillary individually, like when it came to like supporting his squad, he actually would win the day. There's like a deep metaphor there, and maybe I mean I doubt it, but maybe the creators actually intended that. Anyway,
usually those things are like unintentional because it was even like prophetic. It like kind of predicted the future, where the wall was his downfall, literally.
Right. Okay. So anyway, that was, I think that was one of the weirdest tangents we've ever gone down.
It made perfect sense to me.
Yeah, me too. No one else. 18. Twitter took extraordinary steps to suppress the story, removing links and posting warnings that it may be unsafe. They even blocked its transmission via direct message, a tool hitherto preserved for extreme cases, e.g., child bad things.
Cheese pizzas.
I think that maybe that's even too far. So, White House spokesperson Callie McEnany was locked out of her account for tweeting about the story, prompting a furious letter from Trump campaigner staff McCann, who seethed, "At least pretend to care for the next 20 days." Now, this is actually interesting. I want to get into this. So,
yes, let's get into that.
Okay, so it says Kayla McKinney has been locked out from her account for simply talking about the New York Post story. All she did was cite the story, firsthand reporting that has been reported by other outlets and not disputed by the Biden campaign. I need an answer immediately on when/how she will be unlocked. I also don't appreciate how nobody on this team called me regarding the news that you'll be censoring news articles. Like I said, at least pretend to care for the next 20 days. Right? Like, yeah, I mean, makes sense. And then, let's see, we have 20. This led public policy executive Caroline Strom to send out a polite WTF query. I don't know if that stands for what the fuck or what that actually stands for. Several employees noted that there was tension between the comms policy teams, who had little/less control over moderation, and the
WETF is World Economic Forum, by the way.
The WTF?
Yeah,
no,
I think that
WEF is World Economic Forum. WTF is what the fuck?
Oh, well, fuck me then. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. I assume that it's not a what the fuck query. I assume that means something technical, but I have no idea. Let's see. Okay, and this is the cherry on the fucking cake. Strom's note returned the answer that the laptop story had been removed for violation of the company's hacked materials policy. So,
yeah, this is a blatant violation of the First Amendment.
Oh, yeah. So it goes, "Hi, Caroline. Thanks for reaching out to us. Per checking, the user was bounced by site integrity for violating our hacked materials policy. Adding them here for further insights and guidance. Thanks, Elaine Ong Sato." Okay. So, this is, like, I was reading through this thread last night, and, like, I was reading through it, and I was like, okay, well, like, the Trump team sent them an email, and they're like, why the fuck is our chief correspondent being banned off of Twitter for just posting the Hunter Biden laptop story? Like, why is this happening? This makes no sense. Like, what the fuck are you guys doing there? And then the response that they get is the most, and I don't mean to be offensive here, but it's true. It's the most female middle manager response that I think is possible. And so I'll just read it again. "Thanks for reaching out to us. Per checking, the user was bounced by site integrity for violating our hacked materials policy. Adding them here for further insights and guidance. Thanks." There is something so fucking passive aggressive and dismissive about this email. It's the sort of email that I have myself received numerous times from mid-level management people, specifically for some reason women. It just, this is like the quintessence, the quintessential like email from the mid-level manager that also happens to be a woman. So passive aggressive. I'll just read it again because something about this pisses me off. Right? This is in response. This is in response to Twitter, blatantly manipulating the election and also violating free speech. Right? They're doing something wrong here. Twitter is doing something wrong, something that we will find out in a bit. A lot of people internally knew was wrong, and that they knew that like might actually become an issue. And what is the response of Elaine here? I don't know who the fuck Elaine is. She's the ops analyst from the Global Escalations team. What is her response? This clear mid-level manager. She goes, "Thanks for reaching out to us. Per checking, the user was bounced by site integrity for violating our hacked materials policy. Adding them here for further insights and guidance. Thanks." There is something so fucking not only passive aggressive but sociopathic about that email. I'm not exactly sure why it is that email just raises my temper so much. Maybe because it sounds like absolute fucking bullshit corporate bureaucracy. Maybe because it's so I don't even know the word to put it. Like it's condescending, but in like a motherly way. It's like a motherly condescension. Like, well, you just didn't know better. For you to learn more, here's a list of policies that you're not allowed to go against. This is for your own help. I'm helping you. Don't worry about the other shit that we're doing in the background. This is for your benefit. You just didn't know better. Here's a list of things that you're not allowed to do. I'm helping you. And like this very, like, something about this fucking reply just rubs me the wrong way. I'm not exactly sure how to articulate it, but I know that I hate it. What?
If you could just, manipulate the election and blatantly violate the First Amendment at my behest.
I don't know. There's something about I can tell that it's evil. I don't know why.
And I want everyone to be aware. This isn't like the standard free speech absolutist company can do what it wants. This isn't that type of argument. This is demonstrable violation of what the First Amendment fundamentally means. This is an operative of the fucking government dictating to a private entity of what can be put on their platform.
No, Breaker, this is a private company. They can do whatever they want, right?
It's not a private company when there's a government fucking spook telling them what to do.
Breaker, come on,
that is a fascist captured organization by the power of the government.
Breaker, just because they receive government funding and also government recommendations doesn't mean that they've been captured.
No, that's not the thing. An actual representative of the fucking government explicitly told them to censor the American people.
No, they recommended. Okay, they were being advised, not told.
Oh yeah, well, if Big Louie were to just, fall off the end of the dock and sleep with the fishes, I'm not saying that I want you to push him off the dock, but hypothetically, if that were to happen, you capiche?
No, it's kind of like it's a little bit like how when Biden went to the Ukraine and he said, "Hey, you better fire the investigator or else you're not getting the $1 billion." That wasn't Biden telling the Ukraine to fire the investigator.
That's blatant fucking blackmail. That's just blackmail.
No, he was just saying that they won't get the money if they don't fire the investigator. He wasn't telling them to fire the investigator. He was just saying...
That's bribery! It's blatant fucking bribery!
I mean, you could put it like that, but...
Okay, if I were to tell you it's like to push Big Louie off the dock... That would be wrong. I'm not telling you to do that, but if he were to fall off the dock of his own volition and you were there to witness the event, that would sure help us out a lot, capiche? And if Big Louie, for whatever reason, doesn't find himself stepping off of the dock, you better watch your back, you get me?
Yeah, no, I mean, the person, they're still left up to a choice. It's their choice. Either they they either they get paid for the job or they die.
Yeah,
It's their choice. It's
this
their
is fucking
choice.
mobster. This is fucking mobster language. This is like everything you say is this slippery circumlocutory, always have an out, always have a backslide. That's what this fucking language is. Now, I guess if this ever comes to like legal action, it will be up to a court to decide what exactly was meant by this, and there'll be like hilarious testimony from both parties, prosecutors and defense attorneys both, cross-examining these witnesses, and hilarity will ensue, I guarantee it. Nick Rekieta will probably restream the whole thing and laugh his ass off when he sees it, but yeah, if this ever comes to a legal head in any type of trial sense, we'll find out, won't we?
I mean, I think that if a jury, like a legitimate jury, not a mob controlled jury, but like an actual jury, were to see a lot of this evidence, they would go, "Oh, these people are guilty of sin." But
Yeah, no shit.
But we don't have a jury yet, so we make no legal claims about any.
Yeah, I'm not a
of
judge or a
guilt.
jury or a prosecutor. This is not legal advice. This is not anything like. This is just our opinion at the Promethean Tides. This is an opinion of ours that we're disagreeing on certain things. Yes,
That's right. Yeah, and I'm saying, yeah, nothing bad was happening. It's just it's just a threat. You have the choice of whether you know what you have the choice as a human being to let the threat affect you or not. Okay. Kanye was threatened by his personal trainer or whatever, and Kanye made the choice to not accept the threat. So these people could have done the same thing. Just because Twitter is influenced and also funded by the U.S. government, they're fine. They made their own independent choice. Totally independent. Whatever. Okay. 22. Although several sources recalled hearing about a general warning from federal law enforcement that summer about possible foreign hacks, there is no evidence that I've seen of any government involvement in the laptop story. In fact, that might have been the problem. The decision was made at the highest levels of the company, but without the knowledge of CEO Jack Dorsey, with former head of legal, policy, and trust Vijaya Gadde playing a key role. I want to point out, it appears as though Jack Dorsey was a figurehead, kind of like a mascot. He wasn't really involved in like the operations of the company. It appears as though Vijaya Gadde was basically at the helm, controlling a lot of this stuff.
or as Alex Jones likes to call her, Vijay Gade.
We here at the Promethean Tides like to be respectful, and we will refer to this fine woman of color as Vijaya Gade.
Yeah, as most problems men have in the world, it always comes back to Vijaya, doesn't it?
It really does, doesn't it? It's because we love Vijayas so much that it becomes a weakness. But he says to take it back, Vijaya Gade, I believe, was at the head of all of this, and she is an evil woman, in my opinion. That was basically doing the bidding of the Democratic Party, because that's what happens. I was watching actually the Timcast IRL show last night, and the guest on there, I forget his name, but he was saying that the communists are really good at like getting into government and finding the choke point, and then just exercising power from the position of the choke point. So Vijaya Gade is like the choke point of Twitter, and she can basically like scoot Jack Dorsey out of there, make sure that he doesn't know what the fuck's going on, and then just like exercise her power from the top down. And like I think that Vijaya Gade, in my opinion, might be an evil communist. Not just I mean, most communists are misguided. I think that she might actually be an evil communist. But we continue.
Yeah, she's definitely like Wizard of Oz, man behind the curtain level shit.
Yeah. So 24. They just freelanced it, is how one former employee characterized the decision. Hacking was the excuse, but within a few hours, pretty much everyone realized that wasn't going to hold, but no one had the guts to reverse it. 25. You can see the confusion in the following lengthy exchange, which ends up including Gade and former Trust and Safety Chief Yoel Roth. Comms official Trenton Kennedy writes, "I'm struggling to understand the policy basis for marking this as unsafe." He says, "I'm struggling to understand the policy basis for marking this as unsafe, and I think that it is best explainable." I gotta see the actual tweet here because it cuts off. He says, "I'm struggling to understand the policy basis for marking this as unsafe, and I think the best explainability argument for this externally would be that we're waiting to understand if the story is the result of hacked materials. We'll face hard questions on this if we don't have some kind of solid reasoning for marking the link unsafe." And Katie Rossborough says, "Will we also mark similar stories as unsafe?" So this is a guy, right? And he's saying, okay, wait a minute. It doesn't make any sense that we're taking down the Hunter Biden laptop story. It doesn't actually follow our own internal guidelines as to what is allowed or not allowed on Twitter. Even when it comes to our own bullshit, biased internal guidelines that we've taken years to structure up so that it favors the Democrats and hurts the Republicans, even within these bullshit guidelines that we've constructed, it doesn't make any sense to remove this story, right? And so he's thinking, he's using his brain, he's using the old noggin, but then he goes, well, how do we justify that in that case? So he's thinking far enough to go, okay, this doesn't make internal sense, but he's still like in it for the company. And he goes, I think the best explainability argument for this externally would be that we're waiting to understand if the story is the result of hacked materials. We'll face hard questions on this if we don't have some kind of solid reasoning for marking this link unsafe. So he acknowledges that it makes no goddamn sense, but he's like, okay, how do we make this make sense? Guys, come on, can we think together about how we can construct a narrative by which this actually makes sense? So he's thinking enough that he realizes it's bullshit, but he's not thinking hard enough to realize that the entire fucking company is bullshit.
Yeah, that's blatant evidence of mens rea, basically guilty mind. He's thinking, it's like he knows he has to make this fucking circle square, and he's explicitly saying it in this document. So that's sufficient evidence to prove malicious intent right there, or at least enough to start a fucking trial to where a jury and lawyers could argue and cross-examine about this specific piece of evidence. That is more than sufficient grounds to start a fucking trial. This is prima facie case level shit here.
Oh, yeah. I believe so. I think that this probably should go to court. But 26. By this point, quote unquote, everyone knew this was fucked, said one former employee. But the response essentially to err on the side of continuing to err. It says the policy basis is hacked materials. Though, as discussed, this is an emerging situation where the facts remain unclear. Given the severe risks here and lessons of 2016, we're erring on the side of including a warning and preventing this content from being amplified. And then Vijay Gade said, what is the warning that will come up? Rolwoff says, when you click the link, you'll see the generic unsafe URL message, references spam, malware, and violations of the Twitter rules. Not ideal, but it's the only thing we have. This other guy, Plunkett, says, whatever we do in the comms, parentheses, this will become a bias claim for Jack pre-hearing immediately, we'll make it clear we're proactively but cautiously interpreting this through the lens of our hacked materials policy and allowing the link with a warning and significant reduction of spread. Now, okay, all of that sounds really damning. They're all talking to each other, and they're like, oh, God, how do we make this story go away? We don't like the story. Oh, but the story is actually a legitimate story. It doesn't matter. The story needs to go away. Cool. Okay. All right. But then the interesting thing here is that Plunkett says with a warning, so that they'll allowing the link with a warning and significant reduction of spread. Now, what does what does significant reduction here at the bottom here? What does significant reduction of spread mean?
That
Right?
means shadow banning, basically, which they've always been doing, but always been really slippery and circumlocutory about actually admitting to. That's shadow banning. That's what that is.
Yeah, this I think is one of the spiciest things that comes out of all of this. Like, all of it is quite absurd. It's quite silly. It doesn't make that much sense. But a significant reduction of spread.
That means they always had the algorithm manipulation tools the entire time. Like anybody with a functioning brain through pure common sense could notice being on Twitter or any social media long enough that if you say certain naughty things are a bit too edgy, suddenly you don't get the exposure that other people talking about the exact same thing you are, but with less edgy language do. This has been a known thing in social media for at least 8 fucking years.
That it has,
if not longer. You can go all the way back to the original fucking when Facebook first debuted in like the early 2000s. They were like knocking down fucking 9/11 truth memes back then. This has always been a thing since the emergence of social media itself.
Yes, it has been, but it's always been kind of a it's been kind of like a feeling, you know? It's like, oh, like I can tell that I'm being shadow banned or like my spread is being significantly reduced, but like I don't have any hard evidence. This is top level officials from Twitter talking amongst each other, saying that, oh, we're gonna reduce the spread of this. We're gonna make sure that it doesn't go viral. We're gonna make sure that it's not trending. We're gonna make sure that when you post it, less people are able to see it. If it's retweeted, it doesn't show up in your feed. Maybe it shows up like, you know, it still shows up a bit, but it's like, I don't know, what is it? 50% reduced in its spread? 90% reduced in spread? Who knows? They wanted to kill this story. Not because they had any reason, well, they had reason, but not because they had any legitimate reason to kill the story. Not because it actually violated any of their, like, internal policies. It's because they didn't like it. They didn't like this story. They realized that it hurt the Democrats. The Democrats were like, yo, this hurts us. So Twitter, can you do something about this? And Twitter said, yeah, okay, we can do something about it. We're on your side, Democrats. And you know what? We will reduce the spread. We will shadow ban this. We will make sure that people don't really get to see it because you're right. It hurts you. And, I mean, is it true? Yeah, it's true. But do the American people actually have a right to see it? No, why would the American people have a right to see it? They're plebs. Okay, these people in charge, they know what's good for you. They know what you should and shouldn't be seeing. Okay, why do you think that you have a right to just see anything on the internet? You don't. You don't have a right to see things because you might see something and like that might be bad for you. Who knows? You don't know. These people know. They're your betters, okay? They know what you should and should not be seeing. You should just trust them. All of these, all these people, they've gotten so upset, like, Twitter's banning me. Oh, like, YouTube is, like, shadow banning me. No. These people, they know better than you. They know what's good for you. Just trust them. Why can't we all just
thing
trust
about
these
it
people?
is, well, that is a good thing that you bring it up. But one thing, I need to clarify a previous point that I brought up, so it's not taken out of context. Like, specifically an event that happened on September the 11th. That was very much one of the very, very, very real barbecues that did in fact happen. There were many attendees, like there were a couple thousand attendees, but there were only like 7 hosts insofar as the official story of that particular barbecue goes. Now, there may be questions as to how many hosts of that particular barbecue there were. A few of them had to take a plane to get there, from what I remember. It was like it's a big commute that they had to take. But, yeah, that is something that we do not question here at the Promethean Tides.
No, we wouldn't. Although I do want to say, I think, and this is just by operating the Promethean Tides YouTube channel. Now maybe it could be the case that we are just, Breaker and I, we produce a terrible show that no one likes, and it's abysmal, right? It could be the case. I acknowledge that, but I do get the sense that YouTube does not like our show. I do tend to get that sense a little bit. There's specific reasons why I believe that that's the case. But I think, this is my own feeling, I can't know for a fact, but I think that YouTube actively does not, they're interested in the significant reduction of spread of our channel. I get that feeling. It's hard to nail down like any exact specific example. I have some, but I think that YouTube is not happy with our videos, our fun little nice videos that are just always nice. I don't think that YouTube likes us very much, is the thing. It's an interesting thing.
Yeah, it's got to be algorithmic too, because I have a very strong suspicion, and this is probably really close to reality, that there's not so much an actual human at YouTube that's watching our videos and be like, ugh, take it down. It's more of an algorithmic thing. You don't get the actual one-on-one human attention until you get to once you get to 10,000, then you get thrown into a pile where one human is looking at 100 different or 1,000 different 10,000 subscriber accounts. And then once you get up to the level of PewDiePie level, I wouldn't be surprised where at YouTube they've just assigned one special agent that their entire job is just to watch every single PewDiePie video through and through to the end to see if there's anything untoward in it.
Yeah,
once you get to that level, now we're nowhere near that level.
No, we're not, absolutely not. But I think that we are actively. I'm not saying that a human is involved with this whatsoever, but the algorithm does not like us whatsoever. It seems to hate us.
Yeah, exactly.
So I will do my own.
We don't make enough shorts.
Oh yeah, it's the shorts that's the answer. No, it's okay, so I can I can do some of my own marketing for the channel. And that's I think that's where we get a decent amount of views. When it comes to YouTube recommendations, YouTube gives us hardly any. It's 10. It's 10, and they're probably shit. They probably recommend us to they specifically find I don't know this for a fact, but they probably find an account that never clicks on videos, and they're yeah, we'll recommend you to this one, the one that never clicks on videos ever. I think that's what's happening, because for whatever reason, the YouTube algorithm, it does not like our channel whatsoever. It seems to actively fucking hate us. At least that's the impression that I get running this thing.
Well, we get troughs and crests in the waves. Some of our episodes get several hundred views, and some of our episodes only get a couple views. So it seems to go up and down in a somewhat organic way, but overall, I wouldn't be surprised if it's put into some type of close to the bottom of the barrel algorithmic code.
No. It's worse than you think, Breaker. We'll I can discuss this with you off recording, but it's worse than you think. YouTube, they hate the algorithm. The algorithm, it hates this channel. And that's why I've been putting more and more thought to just fucking migrating over to Rumble or something, because I think that just a fair just a fair algorithm where it's I don't know, you just rank it by most recently posted video would actually help us a lot more than whatever the down ranking that YouTube gives us. It's one of those things. It's if I search up Markiplier on YouTube, and if I search him up, then he'll come up, totally chill. And then the next time that I go on YouTube, if I type in M, the first thing that hits is Markiplier. It's oh, okay, great. Yeah, YouTube already knows what I'm searching. Now, I type in Promethean Tides relatively frequently, just because I'm okay, how did the last video do? And if I type in P, it doesn't give me any recommendations. It's I don't know what that is. What was the last thing you searched for? I don't know. I have to type in the whole entirety of Promethean Tides to search it. Whereas if I look up Markiplier, I just type in M, boom, Markiplier right there. And it's saved. It's purple. It's like, okay, this is a thing that you looked up. It's not even like in the top recommendations. Like, okay, you searched this up before. You search Markiplier, so we've saved it. We remember that. Promethean Tides, it never remembers that. I always have to type in the full Promethean Tides in order to search the video. And that's like one tiny thing.
YouTube search algorithm, there's a lot of suspicious things about that where you, like, obviously all the naughty swear words and even the more naughty identitarian words and super spicy gamer words, like none of those will ever come up in an autocomplete on YouTube. But then it gets more subtle and insidious, like what you're talking about. This is like a thing you always search to check on the channel, even on your own fucking YouTube that is connected to the fucking channel, and it still never brings up the whole fucking names. Like, what gives with that? That should come up because it's your fucking channel. If anything should come up, it should be that.
Right, and we've also had things where it's like, okay, oh my god, dude, like the video is like at like 98 views. Oh my god, like, yeah, I know it's not a lot. We're a small channel. Oh my god, we're at 98 views. We're about to hit 100. It goes up to 99. I'm like, oh nice, okay, we hit 100 on this one. And then suddenly it's like, oh hey, you're back to 91 views. Just so you know.
How the fuck did people unview the video? Time is a linear thing that only goes forward, as far as I'm aware.
Well, you see,
some type of time warp at YouTube. I don't know.
No, you see, Breaker, it's all the people that are watching the video backwards. If you watch it backwards, it
oh
removes
god
the
damn
view.
it!
Yeah,
Stop rewinding. Be kind. Do not rewind. Damn all those fucking rewinding jesters wanting to listen to it backwards and learn how to speak backwards to please the king at the royal court. Stop rewinding your goddamn videos.
Okay, but enough about internal channel shit that no one gives a shit about. I thought I'd talk about it, but no one actually gives a shit about it.
But anyway,
to get through this, 27 former VP of Global Comms Brandon Borman asks, can we truthfully claim that this is part of the policy? They can't. To which former Deputy General Counsel Jim Baker again seems to advise staying the course because caution is warranted. And he basically, we simply need more information. So for the time being, we'll suppress the story until we get more information. Do we have enough information to suppress the story in the first place? No. But we will suppress the story until we get more information. I guess until the fact checkers come out and tell Twitter that it's a good story. And the fact checkers will probably only get around to telling them that it's a good story until after the election, or actually what happened in reality was 2 years after the election, they all collectively decide, oh, guys, I guess it was a real story. I guess that we kind of screwed the pooch on that one. Who would have known? Everyone makes mistakes. 2 years later, we'll get around to it. Don't worry. Everyone on the right knew that this was a real thing, but the lefty media will get around to it 2 years later when it benefits them, when they probably don't want Biden to run in 2024. They say, okay, now it's a real story because this benefits us now. This is the thing when it comes to the left. Not all of the left, but a lot of the left. They simply do not care about what the truth is. The truth be damned. Fuck the truth. What matters is what benefits them, politically speaking, right now, in the here and now. They're much more pragmatic than the Republicans. Like, you know, Breaker and I, right? We're almost autistic in our pursuit of what is true and what is not true, right? Neither Breaker or I are really concerned about the power politics. Like, yes, this may be true, but this does this, like, if let's say that Breaker and I uncovered a video, so like some viewer sent it to us, and it was Trump engaged in a gay piss orgy, right? And if
sounds familiar.
Now, here's the thing. If a lot of the people on the left encountered that with Joe Biden, they would say, "Oh, this is damning. We can't talk about this. This would hurt the political chances of Democrats." I think that a lot of Republicans, a lot of conservatives, a lot of libertarians, a lot of whatever the fuck Breaker is, Breaker and I would go, "Yo, guys, this is crazy. I don't know if this is date faked or not, but this is a video of Trump in a piss orgy." Of course, we probably have to censor it for YouTube, but we would go, yo, this appears to be legit, so, like, are we going to talk about this? We wouldn't think, oh, but, like, what are the Machiavellian schemes of power politics that we can play with this? Should we really release that? No, we wouldn't do that. But that's a weakness on the part of Breaker and I. That's a weakness on the part of the Republican Party, on the conservatives. Because
here's like a subtle difference. I would, along with you, I would actually bring it up, but I would actually go into the nuances of like, okay, this is probably a deep fake with the power politics and Machiavellian schemes behind it, just so you know. It seems like if we apply Occam's razor, it seems highly unlikely that Trump would have ever actually done this. I would be able to go into the power politics side, but that's not a type of thing that would be my preeminent concern.
No, but see, all that is a weakness, right? Because at the end of the day, for whatever reason, we have principles, okay? And the way that you apparently win this game of politics within the system that has corrupted the United States, the way that you actually win is not by pursuing truth, not by pursuing justice. It's just by pursuing whatever benefits the party. It kind of reminds me of like the CCP. You know, the truth doesn't matter. Power matters. Maybe that's the weakness of people like you and me, Breaker. Maybe that's the weakness of the conservatives, right? They're too obsessed with truth. They're too obsessed with principles. They're too obsessed with, like doing the quote-unquote right thing. Maybe the only thing that we should really be pursuing is just sheer power, just by any means necessary. Maybe that's the case. Maybe that's what we should be doing. Clearly, our opponents are willing to do this. So, who knows? I'm personally speaking, maybe it's because both Breaker and I are autistic. We're gonna keep trying to pursue the truth, but I will acknowledge that maybe it's a weakness, right? Like maybe that's not the best strategy. So
well, I'm also a jester, so I'm going to flip everything upside down. Or in order to flip everything upside down honestly and be the honest fool that I am, I literally have to bring up everything, damning or otherwise, in order to make fun at it at the very least.
Yes. That is the role of the jester. All right, so there's some more stuff here. We're getting a little bit late. We're at 2 hours and 30 minutes in. Jesus Christ. We may have taken too much time up with the Kanye thing. Because
Yahoo! You're never the wall. You're never gonna breach that wall, Elon. You're never gonna leak all this information. They're never gonna believe you.
There's more to go into here. We've gone so late. Basically, it's fuckery. There's a lot of fuckery that's going on here, and
I just really hope you didn't pause the recording.
No. Luckily, I didn't this time. That's happened before, but not this time.
Yay! We got all the stuff. Yay!
Yeah. There's a lot of fuckery, and I don't know how Elon owning Twitter is going to go, but so far, it's been pretty good. I'm glad that Elon has been able to release all of these internal emails. It shows us what's been happening at Twitter, and I think this is just the beginning. They've said that they're going to be releasing more things, and I want to point out that Twitter is not even that large of a social media platform. Twitter is actually one of the smaller ones. There are larger ones, such as, let's take a YouTube. The amount of fuckery that I think, like, if just on the surface level, this amount of fuckery was happening on Twitter, I have no idea what could possibly be happening at YouTube. I'm sure that Google is just an exemplary corporation that just really loves free speech and has the best interests of the American citizen in mind. But I would like it to be looked into. If anything, I think that the fuckery that has come out and that will continue to come out in regards to Twitter's handling of things, I think that it merits some sort of a investigation, perhaps some sort of a congressional level investigation, because the FBI won't do it. That's for certain. The FBI works for the Democrats and the corporations, the Silicon Valley corporations, in my opinion. But I would love to see perhaps like a congressional review, an investigation into some of these social media platforms. I don't want any sort of special treatment. I want nothing of the sort. I don't want to be like, I don't want my voice to be put above other voices. I don't want the conservative voices to be put above the lefty voices. I want a free and fair playing field. I want I want us all to be playing on the same sort of fields. Fair playing field. Just everything's fair. Just if more people genuinely like the lefty points of view than the righty points of view, then fine. If more people genuinely like the righty points of view than the lefty points of view, then fine. That's all I want. I don't want any sort of fucking privilege. I don't want any sort of special treatment. I don't want to be like the person who goes on YouTube and it turns out that I'm trans, and because I'm trans, I get a fucking plus 50% to my subscriber rate because I'm a person who happens to be in a particular identity class that faces some sort of oppression, and ergo the algorithm will favor me. I don't want any of that. I just want a fair system. That's all.
Why don't you want to be trans? Are you transphobic? How dare you? You need to respect my pronouns. I'm gender fluid and I'm trans now.
God damn it, Breaker. My unwillingness to sleep with a trans person does not make me transphobic. Stop trying to get me to sleep with trans people. Okay. So, anyway, with that, I think that's a good place as any to end it. So, peace out. And any final words, Breaker?
Well, you gotta glorify your Father God, but at the same time, you gotta remember that you also have to be trans.
Absolutely degenerate. Peace out, everyone.